Chapter 3:17. Most of the plants were unfamiliar to them. Many of them had never been seen before, and they grew in strange ways. Wu Yang said, "Since we're all here, how should we split them?" Lotzi said, "One for each person." Gucci said, "But the value is different." Feng Qinzong said, "This is a test of one's eyesight." Lei Xingfeng, on the other hand, was secretly happy. He'd already seen a few plants shining brightly. He guessed that these plants were very precious. What made him happy was that these plants were really unremarkable. He said, "Yes, I agree that each person should have a square of plants. We'll take turns. Ancestor will go first, then Master, then Shirshu Lotzi, and Junior Shirshu. I'll go last. After I'm done, Ancestor will start a new round." Wu Yang said, "I have no objections." He'd already taken a fancy to a few plants. They were all very rare and were one of the main ingredients for making expensive medicines. Everyone had their own ideas. This method of selection not only tested one's eyesight, but also one's luck. Gucci said, "That's fair. I agree." Lotzi laughed. "No problem." Feng Qinzong smiled bitterly. He had no concept of the plants here. He didn't know whether they were good or bad. He didn't even know where to start. He said, "Okay, I agree." Wu Yang smiled. "Then I won't hold back. I'll go first." He immediately went forward and found a plant he'd already had his eyes on. He took out a wooden box and carefully picked the whole plant. He said, "Mine's ready." The other four also chose their own targets. They quickly and carefully dug for their collection. Round after round, they chose to dig. Lei Xingfeng didn't ask about anything else. He only looked for plants with strong light. He knew that these plants must be very precious. Grasping soul flower. Lazi looked at a grid. There were 2 soul attraction flower trees growing. Everyone knew how to pluck them. All they needed to do was pluck the flowers. And these 2 soul attraction flower trees were filled with large flowers. Wu Yang said, "Don't pick any of these. We need to divide the grasping soul flower. It's one of the main ingredients for the soul stabilizing medicine." Lei Xingfeng understood. "It's simple. Pick it and divide it equally." He volunteered. "I'll pick it." There were about 150 grasping soul flowers in total. Each person would get about 30 flowers. In ebony boxes, Exine Feng spoke, "It's a pity that I don't know how to transplant them. If not, I would have taken these 2 trees." Woo. Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Okay, that's it." He also gave up. The 5 of them continued to take turns picking and harvesting. This cultivation field could be considered a small cultivation field. Even so, there are thousands of planting squares. Although many of them were empty, there were still quite a few plants growing well. Everyone had harvested quite a bit. Finally, there was only 1 square left. It was Wu Yang's turn to pick. Wu Yang laughed. "My luck is not bad. I have another chance." "Ha!" He took the plant without hesitation. Exine Feng sighed. "This is just a small cultivation field in the outer area of a forbidden land. If it was the inner area of a large forbidden land, who knows what treasures there would be. This place is so much stronger than the forbidden land. It's a pity that I'm not strong enough to explore it." Lotzi laughed. "Don't be ridiculous. The forbidden area is the most dangerous. We're lucky to be able to get some benefits in the periphery." Wu Yang shook his head and sighed. "It's not just luck. If we didn't get the sky divination crystal, even if this was a cultivation field, you guys would be dead." Gucci and Lotzi both broke out in cold sweat. They didn't know the way out. Plus, the secret door was sealed. They were really trapped inside. Feng Qinzong said, "Yeah, if we didn't make a prompt decision to send me out, if we couldn't find Master, I'm afraid." Wu Yang didn't know they were trapped here. There was no way he could find them. Lei Xingfeng also broke out in cold sweat. This thing really killed people without spilling blood. "Ha, I'll just hang out in the outer world. If I want to come here, I must have a Sky Monarch expert by my side. Otherwise, it's best if I don't come here." Although there were many benefits to coming to the outer realm, they needed to be alive to enjoy them. Once they died, there was nothing left. Wu Yang smiled. "Don't worry. Next time, I'll bring you." Bringing Exine Feng with him only once was more than what he had gained after many trips. Wu Yang wasn't stupid. Bringing Exine Feng would bring him a lot of benefits. Even if he didn't gain anything after 1 or 2 trips, as long as he gained something once, he would have profited greatly. Anyway, whether it was Wu Yang, Gucci, Lotzi, or Lei Xingfeng, they all had the same idea. This person was a human treasure trove. Wherever he went, there would be wealth. Unknowingly, Lei Xingfeng's words had a lot of weight. Gucci said, "Okay, let's go back." Wu Yang opened the secret door. Who knew that he would fail twice in a row? Everyone was shocked. Lei Xingfeng asked, "Ancestor, didn't you use the sky divination crystal?" Wu Yang said gloomily, "I did, but I couldn't open it. Strange." If they knew that they couldn't open the door after entering, no matter how many treasures there were, they wouldn't have dared to enter. Lotzi said dejectedly, "It's over. It's not easy to get out of here." Wu Yang said, "What should we do?" Gucci said, "Don't worry. Let's rest first and try again later." Everyone's face darkened. If they couldn't get out of here, then it was a dead end. The 5 of them might really be trapped to death. The 5 of them sat on the ground, each of them thinking uneasily. Lotzi sighed. "We went out. We shouldn't have come back." Gucci said, "Don't say those useless things." Lotzi was speechless. Lei Xingfeng's mind flashed. "We were in a different place." Wu Yang said, "Yeah, we opened the door on the side. This is the planting area. Let's go back to where we came from." Everyone's spirits were lifted, and they immediately stood up. Gucci said, "The seal here must be strong because of these plants." The cultivation field was surrounded by rolling white fog, so the 5 of them walked back into the fog and slowly approached the point where they came in. They didn't dare to take the risk and only hoped to open the door. When the 5 of them came in, Wu Yang started to feel uneasy. If this thing couldn't be opened, there would be a big joke. Wu Yang hadn't been nervous for a long time. This time, he was abnormally serious. He secretly opened the door. In an instant, the door opened and Lotzi rushed in like a frightened rabbit. Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Let's go." The few of them quickly stepped into the secret door and arrived outside in an instant. Wu Yang was the last to come out. He scolded, "These little bastards, they ran so damn fast." After saying that, he couldn't help but laugh. Lei Xingfeng said, "Ancestor, you don't say. I would rather fight with my life on the line than to be trapped in here. It's too scary. Being trapped to death is even scarier than killing people with a blunt knife." Gucci said, "If you aren't a Heaven Monarch Realm expert, it's still quite dangerous to enter the Outer Realm." Lotzi said, "It's rare that we only go to the Outer Realm. It's really boring. When I think about going to the Outer Realm, I immediately feel like vomiting." Lei Xingfeng said, "Martial Uncle Lotzi, there are also good places in the Outer Realm. Why are you so disgusted?" Lotzi shook his head and said, "When you repeatedly go to the same place for a certain material but can't find it, when you find the material, you'll basically be disgusted. Unlike the Outer Realm, this world is truly rich and colorful. You'll never get tired of it and will always feel fresh. You'll always discover new things. Of course, you'll always encounter unknown dangers. As long as you come here and go to the Outer Realm, it's really a kind of torture." Wu Yang laughed and said, "Then you don't have to go back, just live here." Lotzi said, "Although there are many true monarchs who choose this, I won't do it. I might die here at any time. I need time to breathe and rest. I don't want to be in an unsafe place every day. This is not the life I want." Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "There are people who don't want to go back?" Wu Yang said, "Of course. Some cultivation maniacs deliberately don't go back and live here because the resources here are extremely rich and can find all kinds of cultivation resources. These people will either die here or become peerless experts. In a phone, if you encounter such people, don't get into a conflict. Try to befriend them." Lotzi said, "That depends on luck. If they don't like you, nothing will work. These people do things according to their own preferences. They don't have any scruples about anyone or anything." Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "My luck has always been good. Thank you." Lotzi was also amused and said, "Indeed, your luck is really good, hee." Lei Xingfeng said, "Are there many people who don't go back?" Wu Yang smiled. "Of course there are very few. There are very few experts who can cultivate to the true monarch level. Also, once you reach the true monarch level, your lifespan will increase a lot. The true monarchs who go on adventures are all people with great perseverance and perseverance. We usually call these people crazy cultivators, or sometimes crazy people. Lei Xingfeng said, I understand. Good thing I won't be here often. This kind of danger doesn't have much to do with me. Right, founder, have you seen these crazy cultivators? Wu Yang shook his head. No, you have to know how big this world is. If a person enters and refuses to return to their original world, they will never be seen again. Lotzi said, it's not that no one has seen them, but the rumors aren't very good. Feng Qinzong asked curiously, what rumors? Lotzi said, what rumors can there be? It's not a good thing for those crazy people to meet normal people. Don't mention them. Just know it in your heart. We won't deal with them anyway. Chapter 3:18. Lei Xingfeng understood that this was the difference between having a family and not having one. Those with a family had their concerns, while those without a family were unscrupulous. He himself had a family, so of course he wasn't as unrestrained as these madmen. Luckily, he knew that there were people like these, so he was more careful. Wu Yang said, all right, let's leave this place first. Strange accidents can happen at any time at the edge of the forbidden area. This time we got a good harvest, so we don't need to take any more risks. Let's wait for our return. Lei Xingfeng said, how long until we can open the hidden door and go back? Wu Yang said, a few dozen more days. Lei Xingfeng said, founder, with the sky divination crystal, can't we go back directly? Wu Yang smiled. The sky divination crystal isn't used like that. A portable hidden door isn't that powerful. It needs a fixed hidden door, so we can't go back on our own right now. Lei Xingfeng shook his head. That's really complicated. Feng Qinzong said, when you become a monarch, you'll come into contact with this. No matter what we say now, you won't understand. Lei Xingfeng said, I'm being looked down upon by Junior Marshal Uncle. You're bullying me because I haven't become a monarch yet. Feng Qinzong smiled. I'm not looking down on you. In fact, I only understood this after I became a monarch. I've had countless guesses before, but now it seems that they were all just random thoughts. They weren't reliable at all. Ha. The five of them carefully walked out. They didn't move quickly. At this time, no one wanted to cause any problems. The more stable, the better. There were all kinds of wild beasts here, but none of them dared to attack. Wild beasts had stronger instincts than humans. They didn't dare to provoke these five people. Wu Yang said, let's find a place. I'll locate it. Gucci said, isn't it a bit inappropriate to locate it near the forbidden area? Wu Yang said, of course not. It's too easy for problems to arise. Let's go further away. We have a lot of time anyway. After walking for a day, they had basically left the edge of the forbidden area. However, if they wanted to walk out of the forbidden area, it was still far from enough. Of course, Wu Yang wouldn't set a location here, so the five of them rested for a night before continuing their journey. After walking for 3 days, Wu Yang and the others began to fly at a low altitude. At the edge of the forbidden area, no one dared to fly, as they would be attacked by the forbidden area. Lei Xingfeng really admired the construction of this forbidden area. After so many years, the forbidden area still had the ability to automatically attack. Just thinking about it was inconceivable. After 7 or 8 days of travel, the five of them arrived at the location of the heavenly pillar stone. Wu Yang said, all right, let's stay here for a few days. I'll locate it. The so-called location was to communicate with a secret door far away in one's hometown. Once the door there opened, one could return smoothly. A Daylord's secret door could accept several locations. Once it opened, a secret door would appear at the location of a location. This was different from the outside world. There's almost no need for location tracking in the outside world. It was easy to determine the location, and travel back and forth was very convenient. Only an extremely distant world would require a secret door to locate a secret door. Lei Xingfeng stared at the heavenly pillar stone. Wu Yang laughed. There are many of these pillar-like mountains in this world. They're very strange existences. They serve as landmarks. Feng Qinzong said, how can there be many? We've been to so many places, and this is the only heavenly pillar stone we've seen. Wu Yang said, "You've only been to so many places. You're still unfamiliar with this world. Even I can say that we've only been to a very small place." Lei Xingfeng asked, "Is this stone naturally formed?" Wu Yang said, "What do you mean?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Why do I feel like this thing is man-made?" Wu Yang finally understood. He shook his head. "Of course it's natural. Who would have nothing better to do than to make something like this?" Lei Xingfeng said, "The main thing is that it's too neat. It doesn't look like it's naturally formed." Gucci said, "Since we're going to rest here, why don't you go take a look yourself? After all, it's better to get closer than from afar." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Okay, I'll go take a look myself." Saying so, he took to the air about a few meters above the ground. He flew quickly. In this world, people only dared to fly at low altitudes. High altitudes were forbidden. Perhaps those who were especially strong didn't count, but Lei Xingfeng didn't dare to fly at high altitudes. After flying for half an hour, Lei Xingfeng estimated that if he were to walk, it would probably take more than half a day. Moreover, he would have to run like crazy. When he arrived at the side of the sky pillar stone, he realized how huge it was. Especially after seeing the stone wall clearly, Lei Xingfeng dared to bet that this thing was definitely man-made. It was impossible for it to be formed naturally. A considerable part of the stone wall was as smooth as a mirror. If it weren't for the countless years of erosion and the cracks left behind by the wind and rain, this stone wall would be too perfect. Flying along the stone wall, he flew all the way to the peak of the sky pillar stone. Lei Xingfeng was even more certain that this thing was definitely man-made. This was because the peak was covered with incomplete decorations. It was just that he couldn't understand these strange patterns. Other than these patterns, there was nothing else on the peak. It was so clean that it seemed like it had been cleaned every day. As a gust of wind blew past, Lei Xingfeng also understood that with such wind speed, there was basically no dust left on the peak. Lei Xingfeng didn't pay much attention to these patterns at first. He unconsciously scanned the patterns. Suddenly, the chaos wheel trembled, causing him to be very surprised. Lei Xingfeng began to study these patterns. When he carefully examined them, he discovered that these patterns were very exquisite and extremely meticulous. There were also many grooves in between. After carefully examining them, Lei Xingfeng suspected that these grooves were for inserting the sky divination crystal. This kind of sky divination crystal was much bigger than the one he obtained. Is this sky pillar stone used for defense or offense? What a big deal. Lei Xingfeng carefully counted. Just the grooves alone numbered in the hundreds. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of effect this sky pillar stone would have once it was activated. Thinking back to what Wu Yang said, there were many similar sky pillar stones here. Lei Xingfeng was sure that this should be a ruin that existed at the same time as the Great Forbidden Land. But what was the use of these patterns? Just as Lei Xingfeng was studying the patterns, the blackbird stretched its head out of its wings. It looked around and found that there was no one around. It was just Lei Xingfeng alone. It immediately said, "Uncle A Feng. Uncle A Feng. G-A, G-A, G-A." Lei Xingfeng's train of thought was interrupted. He said unhappily, "What are you doing? Can't you see that I'm busy?" The blackbird said in a flattering voice, "Uncle A Feng." Lei Xingfeng said anxiously, "Stop, stop. You're a bird talking in a woman's voice. What do you want to do?" The blackbird said angrily, "What kind of voice does that bird want to use to speak? G.A. Uncle A Feng, give it to the bird." After it digested the thunder, it began to think about the star core. This was related to its fundamental evolution. Of course, it had to persevere in its pursuit. Lei Xingfeng played dumb and said, "What do you mean give it to you? I don't know you anything." The blackbird anxiously hit Lei Xingfeng with its head and said, "It's not easy for birds. Give it to the bird. Uncle A Feng, give it to the bird." It was like chanting scriptures in Lei Xingfeng's ear. Lei Xingfeng slapped it off his shoulder and said, "Shut up." The blackbird landed and did not fly up. It rolled on the ground and said, "You can't do this to the bird." Looking at the blackbird's rogue appearance, Lei Xingfeng was angry and funny. He said, "I haven't thought about it yet, but if you continue to make noise, I can be sure that I won't give it to you." The blackbird suddenly stopped rolling and said, "If you've thought about it, give it to the bird." Lei Xingfeng said, "Maybe." The blackbird immediately climbed up the pole and said, "Wow, Jie." You agreed. Jie, the bird is so happy. Jie. Lei Xingfeng said lightly, "Who agreed?" The blackbird was stunned and said, "Jie." "Ah, you can't play with a bird like this." Lei Xingfeng said, "Who has time to play with you? I mean, maybe, don't you understand? Maybe means I may give it to you. Maybe I won't give it to you." The blackbird cried out and said sadly, still playing with the bird, "Poor bird. Please give it to the bird." As it spoke, it took two small claws and climbed to Lei Xingfeng's feet step by step. Then it took turns to climb up. Lei Xingfeng was too lazy to pay attention to it. His mind was all on the pattern. Suddenly, a dazzling white light appeared on his shoulder. He directly hit the blackbird with thunder and lightning. The blackbird immediately trembled like a quail in the cold wind. It could not say anything. It could only try its best to digest the thunder and lightning. Very reluctantly, it said, You are shameless." Jie, Lei Xingfeng smiled slightly. In fact, it was not that he did not want to give the star nucleus. The key was that he wanted to study it. What was the use of the star nucleus? It was not easy to find one. He still did not understand it. How could he be willing to let the blackbird swallow it? The blackbird was completely paralyzed by the thunder and lightning. It had no choice but to take the initiative to absorb the thunder and lightning. This way, it would have nothing to say. Lei Xingfeng would be quiet. Glancing at the trembling blackbird, Lei Xingfeng smiled proudly and said, "Little guy, now you feel good, hee." The blackbird thought, "You are darker than me. You are the blackbird." It had no choice. Fortunately, it had been following Lei Xingfeng. There were still many opportunities. According to its little brain, as long as it kept entangling, it would definitely succeed. He continued to study the pattern. In fact, when he was in the small forbidden area, Lei Xingfeng had seen the pattern. It was just that it did not attract his attention. This time, he did not know what was going on. This pattern actually triggered his chaos wheel and Lei Yin. Of course, it was only very slight. This made Lei Xingfeng very curious. Lei Xingfeng could only call the pattern on the ground pattern. To be precise, it was just a trace of some twists and turns. If he studied it carefully, he would find that it was very mysterious. Lei Xingfeng looked at it with a headache. He could not pry into the mystery. The pattern was actually not complicated. It could be said that it was quite simple. However, he did not know where to start. After thinking for a moment, he thought of the pattern on the secret door and sighed. If he did not advance to Monarch, he would not be able to learn or understand it. "I can only give up for now. This thing, I can't understand or learn at the moment." Lei Xingfeng was also very open. Once he gave up, he turned around and left. He did not continue to linger. Soon, they returned to the camp. Wu Yang smiled and said, "How is it? Did you find anything? Although I pass by the sky pillar stone every time, I have never gone up." Chapter 319. Lei Xingfeng said that thing is man-made. Wu Yang was a little surprised, but also relieved. He said, "No wonder it's about the same. It should be a ruin left behind from ancient times." La Zi came over and said, "Did you find anything? Is there anything valuable?" Money was all he had in mind. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Martial Uncle La Zi, you should be able to pay back the loan this time. You don't have to worry anymore." La Zi beamed with joy and said, "Yes, I didn't expect to gain so much. This trip was really worth it. This is the first time I've waited so leisurely for the secret door to open. Every time, I've been busy until the last minute. This time, I've definitely squandered my time." Gucci was also a little emotional. Every time he came to outer space, he would feel like he didn't have enough time. Every time, he would be anxious and work hard, try to find more valuable materials and items. Every time he returned, he would have regrets. But this time, he really returned with a bountiful harvest. He still didn't know that his treasured disciple and master had obtained a lot of extra things. Whether it was the star-eroding gold core, the Saturn star B star core, or the blood essence no one else had shared. Therefore, The ones with the biggest gains this time were Wu Yang and Lei Xingfeng. Of course, with Lei Xingfeng's temper, he would leave a share for his master. As for the others, he would just express his gratitude. It wasn't that he was reluctant, but he knew that if he took it out, he wouldn't get anything good. This was the weakness of human nature. Lei Xingfeng had lived 2 lives after all, so he understood it very well. Sometimes, it was better to keep a low profile. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Let's not talk about anything else. The scenery here is absolutely top-notch. It's even more beautiful than our hometown." La Zi shook his head and said, "What's the use of having good scenery? No matter how good the scenery is, it can't be used as a material or yin ring." He bluntly refuted Lei Xingfeng's lament. To him, scenery and whatnot were all fake and had nothing to do with the growth of one's strength. Lei Xingfeng was actually also influenced by his previous life. He loved being a backpacker and running around everywhere. Unfortunately, there were all kinds of complicated affairs in his previous life, and it was very difficult for him to have the opportunity to run around everywhere. If he could find an opportunity, he would be happy for a long time. This life was like compensation for him. He ran around everywhere, and he didn't know where he would go in the future. He saw all kinds of sceneries, and he really enjoyed this kind of experience. Lei Xingfeng rolled his eyes. He had nothing in common with such a vulgar guy. He knew that Lei Xingfeng didn't like it, but he didn't care. He felt that what he said was the truth. Lei Xingfeng walked to the side of the stream and sat down. He took off his boots and dipped his feet into the water. A cool sensation spread up from his feet, making him feel very comfortable. Feng Qinzong sat down beside him with a roasted buffalo leg in his hand. "Cut it up and eat it yourself." Lei Xingfeng flipped his hand and took out a sharp knife and a wooden plate. He quickly cut off a piece of meat and said, "That's enough." The freshly roasted meat was tender and juicy. It was steaming hot. Lei Xingfeng took out a metal bottle. Inside it was seasoning made by Jean Depang. It was meant to be sprinkled on roasted meat, and it smelled like salt and pepper. The buffalo leg was very big. Lei Xingfeng could only cut off a third of it at most. Feng Qinzong lowered his head and tore into it. Lei Xingfeng smiled and handed him the seasoning bottle. "Sprinkle it on top. It tastes even better." "Jean Depang made it?" Feng Qinzong asked. Lei Xingfeng nodded. "This guy's cooking skills are definitely one of the best in the hidden sect. Only Brother Ting Yuan can compete with him. No one else can." Feng Qinzong sprinkled the seasoning on the beef leg and took a big bite. He immediately praised, "Ah, delicious. It's really delicious. This seasoning," Lei Xingfeng said, "I'll give it to you. Jean Depang prepared a lot for me." "Hee. I know. I'm gonna give me a few more," Feng Qinzong said. Lei Xingfeng flipped his hand and took out 3 more bottles. Of course, these were different from the small salt and pepper bottles he used in his previous life. They were about the size of a palm and as thick as a wine bottle. The side facing up was filled with small holes. Each bottle contained about half a jean to 8 ounces of seasoning powder. It was enough to eat a few roasted cows. He took out 2 more bottles of Fishman wine and casually tossed one to Feng Qinzong. Feng Qinzong couldn't help but sigh. "You're not much different from Jean Depang. You're both foodies. It's just that he likes to eat and cook. You like to eat more." Lei Xingfeng said, "You don't understand. In life, eating and drinking." This was a saying from his previous life. Feng Qinzong curled his lips. "Nonsense. In life, how can eating and drinking be the only thing? In this world, if there were pursuits, strength was the most important. Eating and drinking? What a joke. In this world, there was no need to worry about food. Ordinary people in this world may be poor, but they definitely wouldn't go hungry. This was because there were too many resources to eat. Except for a few places, such as Lei Xingfeng's reincarnation, the barbarian gathering continent was an extremely barren place. Even so, as long as you knew how to hunt, you wouldn't go hungry. Lazi also carried a large piece of barbecued meat over. He picked up the seasoning bottle on the ground and sprinkled it all over. After taking a bite, he couldn't help but praise, "It's pretty good. It's mine." He flipped his wrist and put away the seasoning bottle. Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Martial Uncle Lazi, you're a bandit. You steal everything you see." Lazi said, "What? You don't like it?" Lei Xingfeng laughed. That's not mine. It's Marshal Uncle's. Lotzi turned his head. You don't have a problem with me taking it, do you? No matter how stingy Feng Chinzong was, he wouldn't fall out with Lotzi over a bottle of seasoning. Plus, he wasn't stingy. If Marshal Brother likes it, then take it. Lotzi said, hey, Fishman wine, give me a bottle to try. Whether it was Lei Xingfeng or Feng Chinzong, they both had plenty of this stuff. Feng Chinzong casually tossed a bottle over. Lei Xingfeng understood at a glance that Feng Chinzong was still a bit unhappy. The Fishman wine he gave was the worst kind. It was something he wouldn't even drink himself. How could Lotzi know? He took a big gulp and said, Fishman wine, delicious. Needless to say, even the worst Fishman wine was much better than regular wine. Not long after, Wu Yang and Gucci came over with barbecued meat. Gucci gave Lei Xingfeng a big piece of barbecued meat. This is the buffalo we hunted last time. Lei Xingfeng laughed. Marshal Uncle, have you located it? Wu Yang nodded. Yes, it's done. Lei Xingfeng asked, what is it like? Wu Yang said, you can't see it. I use my hidden door to locate it. Xian Feng was momentarily stunned. The location of a secret door to a secret door? Wu Yang laughed. Yes, you won't understand now. You'll understand when you become a monarch. Lei Xingfeng said, so if I'm sent to this world and get separated from you guys, then you won't be able to find me because I don't have a hidden door. How scary. Wu Yang, Gucci, Lotzi, and Feng Chinzong all laughed. Lotzi said, that's right. Once you get separated from us, haha, after some time, you'll become a native of this world. Oh, you'll probably become a mad cultivator, a big mad cultivator. Lei Xingfeng looked at Lotzi, speechless. Marshal Uncle Lotzi, do you want me to get separated from you? Lotzi hurriedly denied. How could I? How could I? Lei Xingfeng said, I didn't expect the hidden door to be so useful. However, according to this method, the initiative is in the other party's hands. If the other party doesn't open the hidden door, then we'll become mad cultivators or mad cultivators. Lotzi immediately panicked. Don't talk nonsense. Why wouldn't it open? Lei Xingfeng said, you don't say. This method is a first-class trick. Wu Yang nodded. If there isn't a special relationship, neither side will rely on it. The situation, A Feng said, does exist, but cultivators aren't stupid, especially those who have cultivated to monarch level. They aren't idiots. Lei Xingfeng said, it's better to be on the same side. Lotzi seemed to oppose Lei Xingfeng. He said, even on the same side, there are people who cheat. Lei Xingfeng said, Marshal Uncle Lotzi has been cheated before? Lotzi suddenly choked. After a while, he said, this no. Lei Xingfeng said, then it's fine. He looked at Lotzi's deflated face proudly with a smile on his face. In fact, he knew that outsiders could cheat people, and so could his own people. The only difference was the probability of it happening. After all, he had to know his own people well, and there were various restrictions. The possibility of cheating people was relatively small. The blackbird said, quack a phone, the bird is hungry. Lei Xingfeng thought that the blackbird was also pitiful. He said, I'll give you something delicious to eat today. The blackbird said, what's so delicious about it? It's just bull beef. I'm about to vomit, Lei Xingfeng said with a smile. Don't you want to eat golden eagle meat? All right, forget it then. The blackbird suddenly became Spartan. It quacked a few times in a row and said, Uncle A Feng, this bird wants to eat golden eagle meat. It's very nutritious. Lotzi couldn't help but say, damn, this bird can also call you uncle? Hey, little bird, come. Call me uncle. The blackbird said angrily, you're the bird, you're the bird, you're the bird uncle. Lei Xingfeng chuckled. The blackbird began to have a poisonous tongue again. Wu Yang said, Lotzi, when did you become a bird uncle? Haha. Lotzi stared and said, I'll pinch you to death. The blackbird was not afraid of him. It knew that the masters here were Wu Yang and Gucci. The bird was not afraid of others. It said boring. Then it began to beg Lei Xingfeng for mercy. Lei Xingfeng was originally teasing the blackbird, so he did not continue to torture it. He took out a piece of golden eagle meat, cut it with a knife, and fed it one by one. Although Lei Xingfeng kept bullying the blackbird, in fact, he was very good to the blackbird. The golden eagle meat was not delicious, but it contained the nutrients that the blackbird needed. The blackbird reluctantly finished it and said, "Quack, it's really disgusting." Lotzi knew that there was no way to deal with the blackbird. He said, "It's disgusting to eat it. You're looking for abuse." The blackbird unceremoniously retorted, "Stupid, this thing is good for birds. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense, quack." Lotzi was so angry that he rolled his eyes. This bird was too mean. Chapter 320. After all, La Zi was an elder. Lei Xingfeng still had to act on the surface. He scolded, "Don't talk nonsense. Don't be rude." The blackbird said, "Ka, you're bullying me again. I'm ignoring you." It hid its head in its wings and began to digest and absorb the nutrients in the golden eagle meat. Wu Yang said, "Afeng, your bird is improving very quickly. Looking at it now, its strength has at least doubled or even higher than when it first followed you." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "It's working very hard." He knew this very well. Every day, it relied on his thunder and lightning to cultivate. Even if it was beaten by thunder and lightning, it never retreated. As long as there was a way to improve its strength, this bird would desperately fight for it. For example, fighting for the star core. This bird was almost going crazy. The blackbird suddenly said, "This bird will become a great person." Then it shrank back and continued to digest the golden eagle meat. Although La Zi said it harshly, he was still very envious of Lei Xingfeng for having this bird. With this blackbird's intelligence, he could conclude that the blackbird's future was very bright. Finally, it was time to return. When Wu Yang received the signal from the secret door, he immediately gathered everyone around him and said, "The secret door is about to open. Let's go home." Walking out of the secret door, Lei Xingfeng saw Ancestor Huai Cheng, Ancestor Chen Zhao, Ancestor Lin Bo, Ancestor Bo Nuo, and a large group of true monarchs and heavenly monarchs. Wu Yang, Guqi, Feng Qinzong, La Zi, and Lei Xingfeng were the last group. After they walked out of the secret door, Ancestor Huai Cheng closed it. Lei Xingfeng later found out that 10 people went. When they returned, only 9 people were left. One of them was trapped in a large forbidden area and could never come out again. Everyone was arranged to rest in the VIP building. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "Ancestor, why are we still here? It's time to go home." Wu Yang said, "You can't go back immediately. After a day of rest, there will be a simple trade fair. You can take out the things you collected to trade." Lei Xingfeng was surprised. "Ah, there's such a rule?" Gucci laughed. "Even if you spent the Yin ring and used the secret door, you still have to leave some benefits behind. Otherwise, why would they open the secret door? There's the smell of sharing. This is the rule. Everyone knows. You have to think carefully about what you want to auction." Wu Yang said, "I don't need anything too good, just something normal will do." Lei Xingfeng obtained quite a lot of good things during this trip. From the golden eagle's core, purple sparrow fruit, and golden grass fungus, to the mineral materials Wu Yang needed, luster starstone and minute silver stone, the sky evolution crystal from the small forbidden area, the astral corroding beast dung, the famous astral corroding gold core, the astral corroding beast star core, blood essence, skin, flesh, and bones. Finally, there were all kinds of rare plants, including remnant sword phoebe, fragrant soul grass, leading soul flower, giant ladder dragon leaf, crane's beak flower, and so on. In addition, there were many complete silver and gold level mannequins. The harvest this time was great. Lei Xingfeng said, "Ancestor, what should I take out to trade? I've got quite a lot this time." Wu Yang pondered for a moment, then said, "How many more golden grass fungus do you have?" Lei Xingfeng thought back. There were about 50 boxes of golden grass fungus. He said, "I have a little more. How about purple sparrow fruit? It's also good stuff." Wu Yang shook his head and said, "The golden wild fungus is something that many ancestor-level experts want. Just one piece is enough." In fact, Lei Xingfeng was more willing to take out the astral corroding gold core, which was the astral corroding beast dung. He had a lot of those, but since Wu Yang didn't say so, he couldn't take them out. In the end, he listened to Wu Yang's advice and said, "All right, I'll take out a box of golden grass fungus." Everyone took out one or two items to trade. Even Wu Yong was no exception. Wu Yong didn't have as many concerns as Lei Xingfeng. He took out astral corroding gold cores. He didn't need a lot, just a dozen or so. To him, yin rings weren't that attractive. Lei Xingfeng said, "Can I use the golden grass fungus to trade for what I want?" Wu Yong said, "The situation this time is a bit special. The items we take out, anyone who enters the outer realm won't have the qualifications to bid. They can't trade for anything else, so they can only use yin rings to auction." Haha, this is actually a form of compensation. Lei Xingfeng said, what if we enter the outer realm and don't get anything? What should we do?" Wu Yong said, "That's impossible. You've been there before, so you know what kind of place the outer realm is. There, as long as you put in a bit of effort, you can find many good materials. How can you not get anything?" Lei Xingfeng said, all right. I admit that the outer realm is many times better than the outer realm. Sigh, but I really don't want to take out the golden grass fungus. It's too rare, especially since it can increase a person's lifespan. Wu Yong smiled. "I know, but don't worry. When we get back, I'll take you to a trade fair that only true monarchs and above can participate. There are many good things there." The trade fair this time was very simple. It could even be said that it was quite crude. Everyone was an expert from ancestor Huaicheng's faction, waiting to trade. They didn't need to take out precious materials. They only needed to prepare large amounts of yin rings. For people of their status and strength, yin rings weren't much. What they needed were materials, especially those rare materials. It was a spacious hall. Those who entered were either sitting or standing. The whole scene was quite chaotic. Lei Xingfeng followed Wu Yong and Gu Qiyan. Lei Xingfeng said, "Ancestor, is this the place? Why is it so messy?" Wu Yong smiled. "It's very normal. This is a small trade fair. In fact, it can't be considered a trade fair. It's more appropriate to call it an auction. Of course, no matter what, we have to go up and take out a precious item. If you still want to exchange for other materials, that's fine as long as you have something that others want. However, I don't recommend you to do that. Just auction one item to deal with the situation." Lei Xingfeng nodded. It was no wonder that there was such a rule. It was too difficult to go to the outer realm. With a true monarch secret door, it was inevitable to use it to make money. Attendants brought in many chairs. Others carried a circular wooden platform and placed it in the center of the hall. Heavenly Monarch Chun Zhao walked up to the wooden platform, clapped his hands, and said, "All right, everyone. First, let's welcome our good friends back from the outer realm." The noise gradually calmed down as everyone listened to Chun Zhao's hosting. Lei Xingfeng had to admit that Patriarch Huaicheng's secret door was indeed powerful. It was hosted by a heavenly monarch realm expert. Chun Zhao said, according to the rules, everyone who came back from the outer realm has to take out a precious item to auction. Now, who would like to auction first?" His gaze swept back and forth. Heavenly Monarch Lin Bo said, "I'll go first. This time I didn't get much, but I did get a few good items. I'll take them out to share." Lei Xingfeng was a little surprised. He didn't expect Heavenly Monarch Lin Bo to be the first to come out. Although she was a woman, she was definitely powerful. Lin Bo took out a box and pressed it under her hand. She said, "This time, I went to an ancient battlefield and found a small piece of bone by chance." She paused and looked at the reaction below. Most of the people present showed a trace of interest. There were also supreme-grade bones, especially the seal of a true monarch. Bones of the same element could be fused with it. Lin Bo opened the box under her hand. The box was made of metal, and the bone wasn't big either. It was only 1 foot long, as wide as a palm, and as thick as 2 fingers. It was obvious that it was a broken bone, but it gave off a huge impact. It was a bone that looked like crystal, and it was emitting traces of cold air. Lei Xingfeng asked softly, "Ancestor, what bone is this?" Wu Yong said, "Ice-type bone. I don't know if it's from a star beast or a wild beast. This thing is not bad." Lei Xingfeng said, "Ice-type bone is indeed rare, but it has nothing to do with me. I don't need it." Lin Bo said, "This is an ice-type bone. It should be left behind by a star beast. The starting price is 1,000 yin rings. Who wants it? Lei Xingfeng clicked his tongue. Holy shit, 1,000 yen rings. That's scary. Gucci said, it has to be above 1,000 yen rings. You can't take out anything worthless. If you can't get it, you'll have to change it. Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. How shady. Someone raised their hand. Lin Bo let out a sigh of relief. She smiled. This friend wants it. Anyone else? If not, this ice-type bone is his. Only one person raised his hand. The others turned a deaf ear. Lei Xingfeng immediately understood. These people all had a tacit understanding. They wouldn't raise the price for a single item. Lin Bo said, all right, this ice-type bone is yours. She walked down the stage in a relaxed manner. This kind of formality wasn't something people liked. She was already very satisfied with an ice-type bone. They went up one by one. There was one guy who was unlucky. His items were average, so no matter what he took out, no one would bid for it. In the end, he had no choice but to take out a plant. That was his best item, pearl blood ginseng. It was one of the main ingredients for shifting glory potion. When it was taken out, it caused a commotion. It was a complete pearl blood ginseng. It looked like two snakes entwined together. There were countless tiny red granules on its body. It was extremely rare, and no one expected him to get it. The person said bitterly, pearl blood ginseng, one of the main ingredients for shifting glory potion. Starting price is 5,000 yen rings. The worst thing was that he couldn't offer a high price. If no one bid for it, he really didn't have anything to take out. Lei Xingfeng didn't understand. 5,000 yen rings. Compared to the pearl blood ginseng, it seems a bit low. This is the main ingredient for shifting glory potion, the best potion for reaching monarch. It'll cost at least 7,000 to 8,000 yen rings. 5,000 yen rings, even I want to bid for it. In fact, Lei Xingfeng also had pearl blood ginseng, and it was a top-grade one. There were 3 of them in total, and they were all obtained from the cultivation grounds at the edge of the forbidden area. Wu Yang shook his head. You don't have the right to bid. Chapter 321. As expected, a monarch took the blood pearl ginseng at the base price and left the stage dejectedly. Lazi walked up and shamelessly took out a plant he'd found in the cultivation field. 10 baiji grass. Everyone knows that on the market, baiji grass costs around 50 to 60 yen rings. Most of them are 60 to 80 years old. My baiji grass is at least 300 years old, so it's a bit more expensive. Let's say it's 120 yen rings. One plant, 10 plants, 1,200 yen rings. I'll give you a base price of 1,000 yen rings. Lei Xingfeng finally understood why Wu Yang wanted him to take out a golden wild fungus for auction. First, it was to make the other party unable to resist the temptation, and second, he didn't have to take out anything else. This wasn't an auction at all. It was forcing the other party to keep something. If they weren't satisfied with the item, they wouldn't want it. After a while, Lazi felt a bit dizzy. No one said anything, which meant that no one wanted the baiji grass. He gritted his teeth and took out another small wooden box. I'll add one more item. However, the base price won't be 1,000 yen rings. It'll be 3,000 yen rings and a soul-grasping flower. Lazi continued, soul-grasping flower. Perhaps some people don't know what it is, but there's a medicine that everyone should know. It's called the soul-stabilizing medicine. It's the best medicine to save lives. Even Monarch Realm experts can use it. The soul-grasping flower is one of the main ingredients. The soul-stabilizing medicine was indeed famous. Lei Xingfeng had been paying attention. When La Zi mentioned the soul-stabilizing medicine, many people were moved. From La Zi's tone, it was as if they could get the soul-stabilizing medicine if they got the soul-grasping flower. Actually, Lei Xingfeng knew that there were a few main ingredients for the soul-stabilizing medicine. One of them was the soul-grasping flower. Lei Xingfeng also had another main ingredient, which was the purple sparrow fruit. 3,000 yen rings. Someone made a bid, and Lazi immediately gave it up. He was afraid that no one would bid. As long as someone bid, no matter how much it was, he wouldn't have any objections. It was something that could be given up. 3,500 yen rings. Instantly, Lei Xingfeng was stunned. This was the first time he'd seen someone make a second bid. Wu Yang smiled and said, "That's fun." La Zi was already beaming with joy. He said, "Someone offered 3,500. Who still wants the main ingredient of the soul-stabilizing medicine?" 3,500, 3,500, 4,000, 7,500. Lotzi's face lit up, and he shouted excitedly, 7,500, 7,500. Who else wants a bid? Gucci sighed and said, "The temptation of the soul-stabilizing medicine is really great." In the end, the soul-grasping flower and baiji grass were sold for a total of 8,500 yin rings. Not only had La Zi completed his mission, he had also earned a large sum of yin rings. He excitedly completed the transaction and ran off. A few more people passed, and they all barely passed. Gucci also passed smoothly. He had a lot of good stuff, so he just picked one and passed easily. In the end, only Lei Xingfeng and Wu Yang were left. Lei Xingfeng obviously wouldn't let Wu Yang go first. He said, "Founder, I'm going." Wu Yang said, "Set a high price. If no one wants it, just take out a star-eroding gold core and auction it at the base price. If no one wants it, then add another until it's sold." One had to know that there were too many star-eroding gold cores. They couldn't use them at all. No matter how much they added, they wouldn't lose out. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "I'll use the purple sparrow fruit. The golden wild fungus is too precious. It's better to keep it." Wu Yang nodded. Whatever. As long as you pass, it's fine. This isn't a place to get rich." Lei Xingfeng walked up. Immediately, there was a clamor of discussion. Someone said, "Ninth ring sage? Since when can ninth ring sages go to outer space?" Someone paid to bring that little guy over. "What? Are you jealous?" "Why would I be jealous? It's not like I haven't been to outer space before." "You went there when you were a ninth ring sage?" "Bah, don't talk nonsense. You went there?" "Of course not. Back then, who could afford such a large amount of yin rings?" Heavenly Lord Chun Zhao shouted, "Quiet. Little guy, let's begin." Lei Xingfeng took out a box and took out a fruit. He put the box back into his hidden lens space. There was more than one purple sparrow fruit inside. He smiled. "Uncle Lotzi just auctioned a soul-grasping flower. It's one of the main ingredients for the soul-stabilizing medicine. I also have one of the main ingredients for the soul-stabilizing medicine. Hee, purple sparrow fruit. The base price is 1,000 yin rings. Who wants it?" There was an uproar. There were too many people who wanted the soul-stabilizing medicine. Even if it was just an ingredient, countless people would fight over it. A bottle of soul-stabilizing medicine was equivalent to an extra life. Who didn't want an extra life? 5,000 yin rings. From the base price to 5,000 yin rings, this person was trying to stop others from bidding. As soon as Lei Xingfeng heard the price, he knew that not only would he complete his mission, but he would also earn yin rings. A single purple sparrow fruit was enough to achieve his goal. Lei Xingfeng was very satisfied. Without waiting for Lei Xingfeng to speak, the price began to soar. Soon, it reached 8,000 yin rings. Lei Xingfeng said, 8,000 yin rings. If no one else bids, this purple sparrow fruit is this senior's. 9,000. 9,500. Lei Xingfeng laughed. 9,500 yin rings. 9,500 yin rings. Anyone else? After a while, no one else made a bid. This price was already much higher. However, the purple sparrow fruit was hard to come by. It couldn't be said that the bidder had suffered a loss. Lei Xingfeng decided to give the purple sparrow fruit to the bidder, receiving 9,500 yin rings. Lei Xingfeng sighed inwardly. It was too easy to get yin rings this way. Just as he walked to Wu Yang's side, La Zi scurried over. "Good boy, you've earned more with one purple sparrow fruit than with my soul-grasping flower and baiji grass combined. You lucky little guy. Are you trying to kill me with jealousy?" Xian Feng rolled his eyes and spoke. "Martial Uncle Lotzi, don't act like you've been taken advantage of." Without waiting for La Zi to speak, two people walked over, smiling at him. La Zi's expression immediately changed. Lei Xingfeng hurriedly took 2 steps back and stood beside Wu Yang. He didn't even need to think to know that the creditors had come knocking. One of them reached out and wrapped his arm around La Zi's neck, whispering something into his ear. La Zi obediently took out a few bags of rings and whispered, "There will be a trade fair soon. After that, all the debts will be paid off." The two looked at each other. The one holding La Zi smiled and said, "Okay, we believe you." The two then left. Wu Yang's expression was very serious. He whispered, "A sky monarch and a monarch." Lei Xingfeng was shocked. "They're that strong," Wu Yang said. "If they weren't strong, they wouldn't be able to suppress La Zi. Forget it. This time's harvest is enough for him to pay off his debt. There should be some extra." La Zi's face reddened. He came over and laughed. "Sorry, two friends, huh?" Wu Yang glared at him. "Don't be stupid in the future." La Zi smiled bitterly. Yes, Lei Xingfeng said. "Ancestor, it's your turn." Wu Yang didn't react immediately. "What?" Lei Xingfeng said helplessly. "Ancestor, it's your turn." Wu Yang slapped his forehead and said, "Yes, I went up." He hurriedly walked to the round platform and casually took out a fist-sized star eroding gold core. He said, "This thing is a bit special. Star eroding gold core. Those who understand it will understand it. Those who don't can forget about it. One star eroding gold core, 1,000 rings. Who wants it?" Many people didn't know what a star eroding gold core was. Someone shouted, "Senior, please explain. What is a star eroding gold core? I've never seen it before." Wu Yang said indifferently, "Do you know about star eroding beasts?" That person shouted, "I've heard of it, but I've never seen it before." Wu Yang said, "Yes, star eroding gold core is the feces of star eroding beasts." It was a very vulgar phrase, but it worked. Everyone understood immediately. There was a lot of noise and discussion. Chen Zhao shouted, "Quiet, quiet." The noise gradually died down. Chen Zhao said, "Everyone may have heard of star eroding beasts, but I don't think many of you know what they eat. Let me tell you, star eroding beasts eat all kinds of precious minerals, and what they excrete is the essence of metals. They are very useful. If you don't know, then don't talk nonsense. Star eroding gold core is a very precious material." With Chen Zhao's explanation, everyone immediately paid attention. Before anyone could say anything, Chen Zhao said, "All right, I'll pay 1,000 rings." As soon as he opened his mouth, the other disciples didn't dare to raise the price. What a joke. Chen Zhao was a heavenly monarch realm expert. In the sect, he was second only to Dao monarch realm ancestors. Who wouldn't give him face? Wu Yang smiled and passed the star eroding gold core to him. "I knew you were going to interfere." Chen Zhao didn't give him any rings. "One isn't enough. I know you've got a lot. Sell me some more." Wu Yang said, "How many do you want?" Chen Zhao said carefully, 7, 8, 9, 10. He saw that Wu Yang's expression didn't change, so he added more. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. However, he didn't dare to be impudent in front of a heavenly monarch. Wu Yang said, 7, 8, 9, or 10. I say, "Chen Zhao, can you say it clearly?" Chen Zhao's face instantly turned red. "Hey, Wu Yang, don't be so stingy." Wu Yang spread out his hands and said, "Am I stingy?" Chen Zhao was immediately defeated. He also knew that he had been too impatient. Others might not understand, but he understood just how precious a star eroding gold core was. It could be said that this thing was something that could only be chanced upon by luck. He said, all right. I want it too much. How many extra star eroding gold cores do you have?" Wu Yang said in his heart, "I have countless. I can't give you all of them." He said, "How many do you need? Tell me the exact number." Chen Zhao said, "I need about 20 pieces." He gestured with his hand. Wu Yang said, "What are you going to use to exchange? Don't tell me to use rings. That thing isn't very useful to us." Chen Zhao smiled bitterly. "Okay, I know. What do you want to exchange?" Wu Yang said, "Hey, you're the one who wants to exchange. I've already given you the materials. You have to take out something suitable for me in exchange. If I'm not satisfied, I won't exchange," he said proudly. Chen Zhao pulled Wu Yang outside. Lei Xingfeng had no choice but to follow. Soon, Chen Zhao brought Wu Yang to a rather crude room. He said, "Okay, I have a few things. Take a look." As he spoke, he took out some boxes, some oars, and some bottles. They all contained some strange liquid. Chapter 3:22. Wuyong picked and picked. After a while, he said, "It's not enough." Chun Zhao said, "Pick out the things you need first." Wuyong picked out a few things and put them aside. Chun Zhao nodded and said, "Okay, wait a moment." He took out another pile of things. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but admit that this guy did have some goods. He could also recognize some of the things and knew that they were all precious materials. When Chun Zhao took out a 2-foot-long bone, it immediately attracted Lei Xingfeng's attention. He took a step forward and picked it up. There were electric arcs jumping on the bone. This was the bone of a thunder-type beast, and a very powerful one at that. Chun Zhao smiled and said, "This is the bone of a thunderous star beast. I've kept it for many years." Lei Xingfeng said, "I want it." Chun Zhao nodded and said, "No problem. 2-star eroding gold cores will do." Lei Xingfeng didn't say anything and took out 2-star eroding gold cores. Both were pomelo-sized star eroding gold cores, and the quality was better than the one Wuyong took out. Chun Zhao was surprised and said, "You have it too?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Martial uncle, of course I have it." Chun Zhao laughed and said, "Good, good. You should have said so earlier. If you had said so earlier, I wouldn't have made a deal with your martial uncle. Ha ha." Wuyong rolled his eyes and said, "If I didn't make a deal with you, would my grand disciple make a deal with you? In your dreams." Chun Zhao could only chuckle a few times and said, "This bone of a thunderous star python is good stuff. I've kept it for hundreds of years, and it still contains powerful lightning. It's just right for you." Wuyong said, "A Feng isn't a true monarch. He doesn't need this bone now." Actually, Wuyong didn't know that the Lei Xingfeng could already be used. He could use the remains of the thunderous star beast to refine the Lei Yin. After all, his Lei Yin was refined according to the ancient method. Lei Xingfeng already knew that the more lightning element remains, the better. His Lei Yin was supported by a bone fragment. Fortunately, he was only a 9th ring true body. When he became a true monarch, it would obviously not be enough. He would need to refine it again. So these materials were what he urgently needed. It could be said that Lei Xingfeng had collected quite a lot of materials, but he had limited use for himself. Many of them were materials used by true monarchs and heaven monarchs. Therefore, trading was quite important to him. Not long after, Wuyong and Chun Zhao completed the trade. Both of them took what they needed. For Wuyong, this bit of star eclipse gold core was nothing. He had too much, but he was smart and didn't want to take out more. This thing wouldn't be worth much if he had too much. Lei Xingfeng said, "Martial uncle, what other lightning element materials do you have? I'll trade with other things." Chun Zhao was indeed a heaven monarch expert. He did have a lot of lightning element materials. He took out a few more things. They were all lightning element materials, and the quality was quite high. Lei Xingfeng took out the star eclipse gold core to trade. Chun Zhao agreed without hesitation. With Wuyong supervising, he wouldn't bully Lei Xingfeng. Therefore, the trade was very worthwhile. After all, one was a material used by a true monarch, while the other was a material used by a true monarch. The value of the two was completely different. Lei Xingfeng was very satisfied with this trade. The next morning, Wuyong took Guqi, Feng Qinzong, and Lei Xingfeng back to his residence through a secret door. After returning home, Lei Xingfeng saw Thunderstorm and Lei Xingyao. After Lei Xingyao came out of seclusion, she received news that Lei Xingfeng and Thunderstorm had come. They left because they were in seclusion. Therefore, she immediately rushed to the secret door where Lei Xingfeng was with her guards. Seeing Lei Xingfeng, Lei Xingyao was very happy. She jumped into Lei Xingfeng's arms and said, "Yi is also here. Our family is reunited again." Thunderstorm looked at Lei Xingfeng with satisfaction. He nodded and said, "Was there any danger on this trip to the outer realm?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "There was no danger, but the rewards were great. It really is a good place." Lei Xingyao pouted and said, "The old ancestor didn't let me go to the outer realm. He said it was too dangerous. I've already advanced, but the old ancestor still said I was weak. Big brother, take me there next time." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, little sister, that place, even I can barely go there. It really is dangerous. Thunderstorm sighed and said, I haven't been there either. I really want to go there. All right, how is the harvest this time? Lei Xingfeng immediately became excited and said, the harvest this time was really good. I found a lot of precious plants that little sister needed. Lei Xingyao said, what treasures did you find? Let me see. Lei Xingfeng said, let's go back to the room. I'll take the things out. Hee, little sister, help me take a look. There are a lot of rare plants that I don't recognize. Lei Xingyao asked curiously, what kind of rare plants don't you recognize? Lei Xingfeng said, we found an ancient forbidden cultivation ground. Hee, there are a lot of strange plants. Lei Xingyao immediately became excited. Her profession was medicine, and the main ingredients for medicine were mostly plants. She really wanted to know what good things Lei Xingfeng had found. The first things he took out were the purple sparrow fruit and the golden mushroom. Even if these ingredients weren't processed, they could be eaten directly. For example, the purple sparrow fruit was very delicious, but eating it without processing would be a great waste. The purple sparrow fruit was one of the main ingredients of the soul-stabilizing medicine. Some precious medicines also required the purple sparrow fruit. Lei Xingyao said in shock, purple sparrow fruit. Of course, she recognized this material. Other than training, she spent most of her time concocting potions. Due to her attribute, she could already concoct many low-end potions. This was a kind of innate ability. Xian Feng had tried concocting potions before, but he rarely succeeded. Afterwards, he gave up, knowing that he couldn't force it. Thunderstorm wasn't familiar with medicine. He had only been in contact with low-level medicine. He asked, what is this for? Lei Xingyao said, this is one of the main ingredients for soul-stabilizing medicine. It's very hard to get, but our secret sect has purple sparrow fruit. Hee. Lei Xingfeng took out all the purple sparrow fruit and placed it on the table. There was a pile of black wooden boxes. Lei Xingyao opened them and said, brother, luckily you have black wooden boxes. Otherwise, these purple sparrow fruits would be finished. Hee, let me take care of it. Xian Yao took out a crystal basin and filled it with clear water. She also took out a bottle of green medicine and poured it into the basin. Immediately, the clear water in the basin turned into a light green color. After a while, the clear water became a bit sticky. Brother, put the purple sparrow fruit into the basin. Lei Xingfeng put the purple sparrow fruit into the basin. Lei Xingyao carefully rolled the purple sparrow fruit in the sticky liquid for a few weeks before taking it out. Thunderstorm stared at it and said, is this to keep it fresh? Lei Xingyao laughed, i.e., it's not to keep it fresh. The purple sparrow fruit that has been processed like this will quickly dry up. It won't affect the concoction of medicine and can be stored for a long time. This is the most basic way to process the fruit. Hee, it's a method unique to our secret sect. After processing the purple sparrow fruit, Lei Xingfeng put away the black wooden boxes. Lei Xingyao only took most of the purple sparrow fruit and left some for Lei Xingfeng. She said, brother, keep some with you. If you need them for something else, just give them to me. Is there anything else? Lei Xingfeng laughed, sister, don't worry, there's more. He took out another pile of boxes and opened one of them. Golden mushroom. I know this thing can prolong life, but I don't know how to use it. Hee. Lei Xingyao already covered her mouth. After a while, her face revealed an expression of ecstasy. Oh my God, this is golden mushroom. Ayaya, brother, you're simply too amazing. You can even find this kind of treasure. Oh my God. The little girl simply didn't know what to say. Thunderstorm's eyes flashed. It can prolong life? Lei Xingyao said, brother, you don't know, right? Our secret sect has put out a bounty for golden mushroom for a long time. This thing is too rare. Oh my God, I actually saw it here. Brother, this is great. Master's going to be so happy. Lei Xingfeng said, your master wants golden mushroom. Lei Xingyao shook her head and said, not only master wants it, our secret sect has been looking for it for many years, but we still haven't found it. It said that our secret sect originally had a processed golden mushroom, but in the end it was used to concoct medicine. This thing, is very, very rare. It said that it can only be found in outer space and nowhere else. Golden mushroom. After the blood of a golden mushroom falls on the ground, it can only form golden mushroom after thousands of years. Lei Xingfeng said with admiration, "Sister, you've learned well. I don't even know this knowledge. I only know that this thing is golden mushroom, hee hee." Thunderstorm said in a deep voice, "This thing is very precious. When Yao Yao gives it to the sect, it's best to keep it to prevent others from being jealous." Lei Xingyao nodded and said, "Oh, I know, Ai." Lei Xingyao said again, "Ai, when Master concocts the medicine to prolong life, I'll leave a portion for Ai." Thunderstorm smiled and said, "Then I'll thank Yao Yao first." Lei Xingyao smiled and said, "Ai, this medicine isn't the same. Not only can it prolong life, it can also make the body glow with youth. Especially for the body that's been severely injured, it has a healing effect and can remove the hidden dangers in the body. When used together with the soul-stabilizing medicine, it's the best medicine combination. Even if you have money, you can't buy it." Thunderstorm sighed and said, "My greatest fortune is to have you two siblings." He stretched out his hand and patted Lei Xingyao's head. Lei Xingyao began to inspect the golden mushroom in the wooden box. When she saw the black mud in the wooden box, she was shocked and said, This is the black mud from the Black Fish People's wine cellar?" Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "That's right, I've gotten quite a bit." It said that other than having an excellent cellar effect for the Black Fish People's wine, it's also the best soil for growing plants. Lei Xingyao said, "Brother, give me some black mud. This thing is also very rare. Our secret sect has been collecting black mud and using it to grow the golden mushroom. It's a perfect match. Not only can it keep the mushroom fresh, it can also promote the growth of the golden mushroom. My God, brother, you're too powerful." Chapter 323. With the black mud, we can cultivate the golden wild fungi ourselves. Brother, leave some golden wild fungi behind and use the black mud to cultivate them. Don't use ebony boxes, use a large vat to cultivate them. Even though the golden wild fungi grows very slowly, but to be able to grow slowly is already very good. Xian Yao helped to reorganize the boxes. When they first obtained 56 boxes of golden wild fungi, Xian Yao left 10 for her brother and kept the rest. The golden wild mushroom could be cultivated. In the past, Xian Yao's sect had cultivated it before, but because the golden wild mushroom's use was too great, they had no choice but to use it. The golden wild mushroom's growth was extremely slow, thus the last golden wild mushroom was used, cutting off the source. This time, Xian Feng had found so many golden wild mushrooms. Xian Yao's sect could start cultivating them again. Of course, these would all belong to Xian Yao. Once they needed the golden wild fungi, they had to obtain Xian Yao's permission and pay a large price. This allowed Xian Yao's position in the sect to rise. Of course, Xian Yao's position was already very high. Lei Xingfeng took out another pile of boxes. Xian Yao was dumbfounded. She said, "Brother, there's more? This outer space is simply a treasure trove." Lei Xingfeng laughed as he opened the boxes. Grasping soul flower, one of the main ingredients for the second soul medicine. What Lei Xingfeng didn't know was that grasping soul flower was also the main ingredient for a few other precious medicines. Xian Yao's face was red. She said, "Grasping soul flower is not only one of the main ingredients for the soul medicine, it's also one of the main ingredients for another top-grade healing medicine, green field witch." Lei Xingfeng said, "Green field witch." Xian Yao took out a bottle of medicine and gave it to Lei Xingfeng. She said, "This is it. 1 drop can heal most of the light injuries. 2 drops can heal the heavy injuries. I.e., if you had green field witch, you wouldn't have suffered so much. 3 drops of green field, which would have healed you completely." Lei Xingfeng suddenly remembered and said, "I know this potion. The Grandmaster once gave it to brother Xian Jiaoluan. So this is the green field enchantress." Thunderstorm sighed. Although he had been a powerful expert in the past, how could he compare to the secret sect? Not to mention the secret sect's unique potion. Back then, He hadn't even known about the existence of such a powerful potion. Lei Xianyao happily put away the grasping soulflower and said, "Big brother, your trip to the outer realm was really profitable." Lei Xingfeng said, "Don't worry, there's still a lot. Take your time." Xianyao was dumbfounded. She said, "There's more?" Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "There's more, but there's a lot of varieties. However, the quantity is very small. Some of them only have 1 or 2 plants. I don't even know what kind of plants they are." Then he took out a pile of boxes. Following the opening of the wooden box, Xianyao was enveloped by a huge happiness. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. They were all extremely precious plants. There were even 2 that she didn't recognize, but she knew that they were definitely not ordinary. Xianyao was a bit of a money grubber. So many precious materials made her dizzy. She kept pulling Lei Xingfeng and said, "Big brother, we're rich, we're rich." Lei Xingfeng smiled dotingly and said, "Little money grubber, that's right, we're rich." Hee hee. After obtaining a pile of treasures, Xianyao was satisfied. She said, "Hee hee, what kind of potion does Big Brother want? I'll get it for you." Lei Xingfeng said, "Little sister, the 3 of us need the Qianyao potion. I think, with these materials, we should be able to trade with your secret sect, right?" Xianyao nodded and said, "I'll think of a way. Yi and Big Brother will each have a Qianyao potion. My master will prepare it for us. I don't need to worry." Her master had prepared everything for her. She didn't need to worry at all. Lei Xingfeng couldn't compare. Lei Xingfeng said, "There's one more thing. Hee, I'll give it to you too. Sky Divination Crystal." Lei Xingfeng took it out and gave each of them a Sky Divination Crystal. Xianyao exclaimed, "It's so beautiful. What's the use of it?" Old Man Thunderstorm took the Sky Divination Crystal. He didn't recognize it either and said, "What's this?" Lei Xingfeng's expression became serious and said, "This can be considered a source of disaster. I.e., little sister, you must keep this well. Don't ever take it out. If others find out, you'll be in danger. Even Daojun patriarchs will fight for it if they see it." Thunderstorm's face was filled with shock. He already knew the difference between Monarch, Sky Monarch, and Daojun. If even Daojun patriarchs fought for it, one could imagine how precious it was. He quickly put the Sky Divination Crystal into his hidden Luin space. Xianyao also put it away in fear. Lei Xingfeng said, "We got this from the Forbidden Grounds. When we become monarchs and have our own secret sect, we can put the Sky Divination Crystal in it. We don't need to use Yin rings to open the secret sect. We can even connect to outer space and go to outer space. If we use Yin rings, we won't be able to go to those places." Xianyao said, But we don't have a secret sect yet." Thunderstorm said, "You'll have one sooner or later." Thunderstorm said, "Yao Yao, you can't take this out. Even if it's your master, you can't tell her. Understand?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Little sister, it's not that you don't trust your master. It's just that you can't explain where you got this thing. Some things can't be wrong no matter how careful you are." Xianyao nodded vigorously. "Yes, I understand." With her greedy personality, of course she wouldn't say anything. Plus, Lei Xingfeng must have taken a huge risk to get such a precious thing. After splitting the loot, Lei Xingfeng worked so hard to collect the materials. One, he needed them for his own advancement, and the other, he needed them for Thunderstorm and Xianyao. In this world, Yi and his little sister were the closest people to him. Even the founder and master couldn't compare to them. They were the people he cherished the most in his heart. This trip to outer space had completely opened Lei Xingfeng's eyes. He had truly seen the world of high-level cultivators. It also made him understand that only by becoming a monarch would he have the ability to protect himself. Now wasn't the time to be complacent. A ninth ring sage was standing at the starting point of a high-level cultivator. Only from this point could he truly fly. Lei Xingfeng said, "Yi, little sister, let's work hard together and become monarchs as soon as possible." Thunderstorm was also encouraged by Lei Xingfeng. He nodded, "Yes, become a monarch. A phone. I plan to take an unusual path of advancement. Maybe I'll succeed, maybe I'll fail. But if I succeed, it'll mean a new path. Lei Xingfeng's heart jumped. He said, "Aye, we have a ready-made method of advancement." "You," Thunderstorm shook his head. "A phone. Our situation is very special. We don't have many references for lightning cultivation. If I succeed, I can help you avoid the wrong path." Haha. I learned a lot from the thunderstorms. I relied on natural lightning to completely recover. During this time, I thought for a long time, maybe I can use natural lightning to become a monarch. Lei Xingfeng knew how many yin rings were needed to become a monarch. The so-called yin rings could also be called energy. The amount of energy needed for a cultivator to become a monarch was terrifying. Maybe absorbing the energy of natural lightning could satisfy the requirements. I.e., natural lightning is good, but to find a continuous thunderstorm, it's very difficult. Thunderstorm said, "I know, this problem has been bothering me for a long time, but I heard there's an outer world that can be used." Lei Xingfeng said, "An outer world?" Thunderstorm nodded. "Yes, an outer world. I heard there's a type of outer world that has lightning and thunder all year round. It's an excellent place for cultivation. It's also the place I'm looking for to advance." Lei Xingfeng said, "Did you find it?" Thunderstorm shook his head. "I still have time. I can slowly look for it. In a phone, keep an eye out. If you find it, don't forget to tell me." Lei Xingfeng nodded in agreement. He now knew many monarchs and monarchs. In this aspect, he knew more than Thunderstorm. He said, I'll ask Master and Founder. Little sister, there are many experts in your secret sect. Help me ask around." His current network of contacts had gradually begun to be established, and with the addition of his little sister's sect, he was no longer as ignorant as he used to be. The three of them sat in Xian Feng's room, discussing enthusiastically. The preparation of materials was something that Xian Feng and Lei Bao needed to solve urgently. As for Lei Xian Yao, she still needed some time, and her master had already started preparing the materials for her. This was something that Xian Feng and Lei Bao couldn't compare to. However, after such a long time of preparation, Lei Xingfeng had already collected most of the materials for advancement. He and old Thunderstorm put them together. The rest of the materials were not hard to find. After all, Lei Xingfeng had a lot of resources in his hands. Even if he couldn't find them himself, he could exchange for them. Mad Eagle knocked on the door and said, "A phone. Jean Depeng cooked a table of dishes to welcome you home." "Do you want to go now?" Lei Xingfeng stood up and said with a smile, "Uncling, let's go together." "I brought back some gifts for everyone. I'll give them to you later." Thunderstorm laughed. "Fatty's cooking is really good. I couldn't bear to leave during this period." Lei Xingyao also laughed. "Yes, Brother Fatty's cooking is really delicious. I've learned a few dishes. I can show them off to Master when I go back." She shook her head proudly. As she spoke, she hugged Lei Xingfeng's arm and said, "Let's go and try it. I don't know what new dishes Brother Fatty has." Walking out of the room, the few of them came to the courtyard. There was a big wooden shed here. It was where Lei Xingfeng ate. The location of the secret hidden space was like spring all year round. The weather was neither hot nor cold. It was the most suitable place to have a table and chairs outside. Jean Dia and Tiger Love came up and greeted them with smiles. Lei Xingfeng's guard captain was also there. Lei Xingfeng went up and bowed. This was necessary. Although Yin Shaoqing was a guard, she was a monarch. Her strength determined her position. She couldn't be treated as a guard. Even if Thunderstorm saw her, he would have to call her senior. Chapter 324. Mad Eagle smiled. A phone brought gifts for everyone. Lei Xingfeng immediately laughed. "Hey, Uncling, is there anything you can't wait for?" Mad Eagle smiled mischievously. "I'm just curious. I want to see if there's anything good in outer space that a phone can give as a gift." Lei Xingfeng suddenly smiled strangely. This thing is really good, but it's a little disgusting." Mad Eagle immediately became alert. "It won't be easy to trick us." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "Why would I trick you? This thing is definitely good, and only monarchs and above can use it. Yes, it can be exchanged for yin rings. It's worth almost 1,000 yin rings. Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and Jean Dia all became excited. Almost 1,000 rings. This was too valuable. Yin Shaoqing also looked curiously at Lei Xingfeng. She found it strange that a gift was worth a few hundred rings. That was too much. Mad Eagle immediately said, "Even if it's a little disgusting, I'll take it." "A phone, what's this?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Shit, Daddy." Mad Eagle was dumbfounded. After a while, he said, "Don't joke around. If a pile of shit is worth a few hundred rings, I'll just stop cultivating and go take a dump." Everyone laughed. Yin Shaoqing couldn't help but shake her head and smile. Lei Xingyao said, "Uncle Ing, speak vulgarities." Mad Eagle said, "Yao Yao, you can't blame me." Your brother said, "Shit, Daddy." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "What you pooped isn't worth much, but that doesn't mean other things aren't. Hee. Here, take a look." As he spoke, he took out a black object and shoved it over. Mad Eagle jumped up in fright and said, "Hey, a phone, you can't put feces on." This thing is hard." "This is not feces. This is a piece of metal." "A phone? Are you kidding me?" Yin Shaoqing raised her eyebrows slightly and said, "Let me see." Mad Eagle casually tossed it out. Yin Shaoqing grabbed it and glanced at it. Then she said in astonishment, "It really is Papa SH *T. A phone was right. This is the star-eroding gold core." Mad Eagle said, "Senior Yin, don't joke around. Who poops? Poops out metal. I've never seen that before." Yin Shaoqing laughed and scolded, "You little rascal, there are many things you don't know. What's so strange about not seeing it before? Let me tell you, this is the poop of an eroding star beast. Have you heard of the eroding star beast? I bet you don't even know what an eroding star beast is. This is the feces of an eroding star beast. It's a very precious material." Mad Eagle was stunned. He said, "Are you for real?" Actually, he already believed it. He knew about star beasts, but he really didn't know about eroding star beasts. There are many types of star beasts, and many of them were rare and strange. It wasn't a big deal that he didn't know about them. Yin Shaoqing said, "Of course it's real. The eroding star beast specializes in eating metal veins. The metals it poops out are all rare metal crystals. Many of them are needed by us monarchs." Lei Xianyao was also curious. She moved to Yin Shaoqing's side and said, "Granny, does this stink?" She pointed at the star-eroding gold core. Yin Shaoqing smiled and shook her head. "How can this be stink? It's all metal. This is the smell of metal." Lei Xingfeng took out many star-eroding gold cores and gave one to everyone present. Of course, the servants didn't have any. Lei Xingfeng had already instructed a channel to give 10 to 100 rings to all the servants in the house. Everyone had one, but some had more than others. There was a difference in grade. Yin Shaoqing said, "Which one of you wants to sell?" "I want, 800 rings for one. I'll buy as many as you have." Jean Depeng said excitedly, I'll trade." Mad Eagle hesitated for a moment, then said, "I'll trade as well." Jean Dia and Tiger Love didn't hold back either. They immediately traded with Yin Shaoqing. To them, no matter how good the star-eroding gold core was, it couldn't compare to rings. Plus, they'd already given up on the idea of becoming a monarch. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but that they really couldn't. Yin Shaoqing's face was full of smiles. 800 rings wasn't much to Yin Shaoqing. Rings were everywhere, but the star-eroding gold core wasn't something that could be found anywhere. Her asking price wasn't low, but if it were to be auctioned, this amount of rings wouldn't be enough to trade for a star-eroding gold core. This was something that both sides would benefit from. Lei Xingfeng called Jean Depeng to his side and laughed. "Depeng, here's a new ingredient for you, he." Jean Depeng asked curiously, "What is it?" Lei Xingfeng took out a large wooden barrel and opened the lid. This one, it was filled with Saturn beast meat. Jean Depeng might be a glutton and had seen countless ingredients, but this was his first time seeing star beast meat. Even the texture of the meat was different. Yin Shaoqing smelled a faint earthy scent. She stood up and walked in front of the barrel. With a single glance, she was shocked. Saturn beast. Saturn beast. These three words made everyone stand up. What was a star beast? Any cultivator with a little bit of experience would know. That was especially true for secret sections. Star beasts were an eternal topic of discussion. All else aside, every part of a star beast was a treasure. Every part of it was a top-grade material. Yin Xiaoqing looked at Lei Xingfeng in a different way. She asked, "Did you guys hunt it?" Lei Xingfeng laughed. "I don't have such ability. Moreover, this is a young Saturn beast." Hee. We took advantage of the situation. That Saturn beast fought with the outsiders and almost perished together. We hid at the side, so we got a young Saturn beast. Yin Xiaoqing was stunned. How could this be? She couldn't even describe how lucky she was. Even a perfected monarch expert wouldn't dare to provoke a star beast. It would take at least a few perfected monarchs to fight it. In the end, a heaven monarch was needed to defeat the star beast. However, it was still difficult to kill it. In her memory, only Tao monarchs could successfully kill a star beast. It also depended on what kind of star beast it was. Star beasts also had attributes. Even Tao monarchs might not be able to kill some star beasts with special attributes. For example, there were pure darkness-type astral beasts, lightning-type astral beasts, ice-type astral beasts, and even rarer space-type astral beasts. All of them were extremely difficult to deal with. Even if they couldn't beat a Tao Lord, once they fled, the Tao Lord might not be able to stop them. One could imagine how rare this star beast was, even if it was just a young Saturn beast. Jean Depeng was also stunned. He said, Star beast. Sai, I need to experiment a few times before I know how to cook it." As he spoke, he became excited. Who had eaten star beasts before? He was sure that in this world, even perfected monarchs and heaven monarchs might not have eaten star beast meat. He casually put the wooden barrel into his hidden Luin space and said excitedly, "I'll try it." Then he ran away. Seeing Jean Depeng's fat body disappear like a wisp of smoke, Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. He said, "Let's eat. Otherwise, the food will get cold." Everyone began to eat. The table was full of dishes. Lei Xingfeng found that Jean Depeng's cooking had improved. It already had the taste of the dishes from his previous life. What was different was that the ingredients here were better and more delicate. According to Lei Xingfeng, it was fresh and clean. No matter how they were fried or cooked, the taste was extremely good. Everyone ate and chatted. The atmosphere was very harmonious. Lei Xianyao was especially lively. Ever since she found Yi and her brother, she seemed to have changed into a different person. Yin Xiaoqing was the clearest. Originally, Lei Xianyao's expression was always cold. No matter what she did, she was always calm. There would often be a trace of worry between her brows, but the little girl hid it very well. However, how could she hide it from an old fox like Yin Xiaoqing? Now, however, it was completely different. Xian Yao's smile was like a flower. Her mouth had become extremely sweet, and her personality had also become lively. She was always chattering nonstop, occasionally letting out a clear laugh. Yin Xiaoqing's mood had also become extremely good. She had watched Xian Yao grow up and had long since treated her as family. Lei Xian Yao whispered, "Grandma, do you want me to ask my brother for some star-eroding gold cores?" She saw that Yin Xiaoqing seemed to be in need of star-eroding gold cores, so she asked softly. Yin Xiaoqing really needed star-eroding gold cores. To be precise, her weapon needed star-eroding gold cores to strengthen. When she suddenly saw the star-eroding gold cores, her heart was filled with joy. Fortunately, she was able to maintain her composure. On the surface, there was no change at all. With just a few words, she bought the star-eroding gold cores from Jean Dia and the others. Of course, this amount of star-eroding gold cores was far from enough. "Is it suitable?" Yin Xiaoqing whispered. Lei Xian Yao giggled. "Grandma, it's suitable." She didn't continue speaking. She knew that Yin Xiaoqing needed it, so she would naturally ask her brother for it. It wasn't until the meal was over that Jean Depeng came out with a large copper basin. After the waiters quickly tidied up the table, Jean Depeng placed the basin on the table and said, "I can't think of any dishes for now, so I can only braise them. Everyone, try the star beast meat." Lei Xingfeng used a small knife to fork a piece of meat and put it in his mouth. It was fat and tender. He bit into it, and his mouth was filled with a fresh fragrance. There wasn't a trace of earthy taste. He couldn't help but praise, "Oh my God, delicious, too delicious." Everyone snatched it madly, and the large copper basin was swept clean. Everyone who ate the star beast meat immediately sat down cross-legged to cultivate. Everyone discovered that after eating this thing, they couldn't help but want to cultivate. They didn't cultivate for long, about an hour. Everyone's faces were filled with surprise and joy. Lei Xingfeng said, "I didn't expect it to have such an effect." His cultivation had obviously strengthened. It wasn't an increase, but a sturdiness. It was as if his foundation had been hammered once again. This was especially true for people like Mad Eagle. Their foundations weren't solid, and they relied entirely on the yin rings. Therefore, after eating the star beast meat, the effects were especially obvious. Everyone stopped talking about the star beast meat. This topic was starting to become sensitive. Lei Xingfeng didn't speak either. He discovered that the star beast meat had such an effect. This meant that his 3 bodyguards could be trained. However, this was a sensitive topic. No one present was an idiot, but the food belonged to Lei Xingfeng. Moreover, he was the owner of this place. Therefore, everyone was smart enough to keep quiet. Star beast meat could strengthen one's foundation. Most likely, even Lord of Heaven and Tao Lord knew this. This point was useless to them. Only sage-level experts could use it. However, how could a sage-level expert obtain star beast meat? Chapter 325. Lei Xingfeng called Jean Depang over and whispered a few words to him. Jean Depang left with a big smile on his face. A servant came to clean up, and only then did Lei Xingfeng bring Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and Jean Dia back to their room. Thunderstorm and Xian Yao followed them in. Only Yin Shaoqing remained in the courtyard. It was very safe here, and she didn't have to stay by Xian Yao's side. She was happy to relax. When they reached the room, everyone sat down. Lei Xingfeng said, "I didn't think that astral beast meat would have this kind of effect. From today onwards, Uncle Ing, Uncle Tiger, and Uncle Jean will start eating astral beast meat. Let's see if it can remove the hidden effects of the yin ring. Perhaps it can strengthen our foundations, and then, maybe we'll have a chance to advance." Jean Dia shook his head. "That's too difficult, but we can still try." He was very wise. Even if it was Lei Xingfeng and the other direct descendants, not all of them could advance, not to mention sages who used the yin ring. It was too difficult. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were touched. They knew that Lei Xingfeng treated them like family, which was why he had such a reaction. He had immediately discussed it with them as soon as he realized the secret. Tiger Love said, "And it's good to try. Afong, don't say that Uncle Tiger doesn't have confidence. Our potential is too weak. If we can't advance, it'll be a waste of this treasure." Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "It's nothing. If it's a waste, it's a waste. It's easy to get. All right, Ayi little sister, I'll leave you some Saturn beast meat too. You can cook it when you get back. No matter what, it's good for your body." Xian Yao shook her head. "My foundation is very good. I don't need to eat it. Give it to Ayi. Ayi needs it." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "And I'll leave some for Ayi too." Thunderstorm was touched. He said, "No need. You guys can keep it for yourselves. I believe that I still have the strength to advance." The 3 of them pushed each other, causing Jean Dia and the others to be dumbfounded. This family was really close. How could they reject such an opportunity? In the end, it was Jean Dia who spoke. He said, "Don't push it around. Everyone, let's eat. Don't look at it too seriously. We'll see how far we can go." Thunderstorm nodded and said, "Okay, let's eat together. Let Fatty clean up. This kid's cooking is really delicious, Earlier, it was mainly because everyone was stunned and focused on the effects of the astral beast meat. They had neglected the deliciousness of the astral beast meat. Now that they thought about it, the taste was simply incomparable. It was simply too delicious. Lei Xingfeng's thoughts wandered as he said, "I can be considered someone who knows how to eat, but this is the first time I've tasted something like this. It's truly wonderful to the extreme. I didn't expect astral beast meat to be so delicious. Just for this, I must work hard to increase my strength in the future. Tiger Love was puzzled. What does the delicious astral beast meat have to do with you working hard to increase your strength? Everyone instantly laughed. Lei Xingfeng said very seriously, only by increasing my strength can I kill astral beasts and eat astral beast meat. Everyone was instantly speechless. This was a true foodie. After resting for 2 days, Lei Xingfeng stopped cultivating this morning and went out to wash up. He came to the courtyard. Soon, Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and Jean Dia also finished cultivating and walked out. They greeted each other and sat at the table in the wooden shed. A waiter brought in breakfast. Elder Thunderstorm also walked out. Lei Xingfeng greeted, "Aye, sit here." Elder Thunderstorm walked over, sat down, and said, "How was your cultivation?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "It's too slow. If I want to reach the peak of 9th ring, it's best to find thunderstorm weather. When I'm free, I might accidentally encounter one." Elder Thunderstorm also had this problem. However, he was already a peak 9th ring expert. Every day, he could only consolidate his cultivation. It was impossible for his cultivation to continue increasing unless he became a monarch. He smiled and said, "There's no other way. When you know there's a thunderstorm somewhere, by the time you arrive, it'll already be calm and there'll be nothing left. That's why it's still possible to wander outside often." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly and said, "A few times, even if I hear thunder, there'll be nothing left. I never thought that encountering a thunderstorm would be so difficult." Jean Depan also walked out with a plate of shortbread. He said, "Come, try my new shortbread." The shortbread was a kind of food that Lei Xingfeng once mentioned. It was the sesame seed cake from his previous life. Jean Depan modified the recipe. The shortbread was made with some kind of animal fat, making it soft and crispy. Unfortunately, there are no sesame seeds here, so it was just a light shortbread. However, the taste was excellent. The shortbread was golden on the surface because it was brushed with a layer of fat. It was crispy, salty, and fragrant. When one bit into it, one would feel layers upon layers. It was soft and delicious. This caught everyone's attention and they wolfed it down. A plate of dozens of shortbread was swept clean. These people were all big eaters. Even women could casually eat a plate. Lei Xingfeng only managed to grab one shortbread. He slightly missed the sesame seed cake from his previous life. He wanted a second shortbread, but it was already gone. Jean Depan laughed and said, "Don't worry, there's more. This thing needs to be roasted, so it's a bit slow." Lei Xingfeng said, "Fatty, this shortbread is good. It's delicious. It's much better than the hard flatbread. Prepare more for me in the future. I'll treat it as dry rations." Jean Depan laughed and said, "No problem. I've already brought a few disciples with me. Let them make these. Hee, you can have as much as you want." Lei Xingfeng could eat a palm-sized shortbread like this in 2 bites. It was no problem for him to eat 100 at a time. Therefore, Jean Depan couldn't do it himself. In any case, there were many people at home. It wouldn't be a problem to pick a few helpers. According to Lei Xingfeng's idea, there should be a dry rations factory at home that specialized in making all kinds of dry rations. Many of his subordinates also had to go out on missions, so they could just get the dry rations from home. Of course, breakfast wasn't just shortbread. There were also large pieces of roasted meat and rice. Cultivators had the same breakfast as lunch. Due to the large consumption of energy, they had to eat large amounts of meat. Jean Depan also sat down. Someone brought in large pieces of roasted meat, a large bucket of meat soup, flatbread, and rice. Lei Xingyao and Yin Shaoqing walked out. When the two sat down, Jean Depan eagerly handed over a small plate of shortbread and said, "Yao Yao, Senior, try this shortbread." Lei Xingyao smiled sweetly and said, "Thank you, Big Brother Pang." Jean Depan beamed with joy and said, You're welcome, hee hee." Lei Xingyao was a little greedy cat. When she was young, because of thunderstorm, she couldn't hunt, forcing Lei Xingfeng to look for food everywhere. She ate everything. This time, when she came to Lei Xingfeng's residence and ate the food that Jean Depan made, she was immediately captivated. Therefore, at home, Her relationship with Jean Depan was quite good. Jean Depan made some snacks for Lei Xingyao when he was free, and even Yin Shaoqing ate a lot. For this, Lei Xingyao gave Jean Depan a lot of medicine. She never had the habit of taking advantage of others. This was also what Lei Xingfeng taught her. In Tiger Cliff Castle, no matter how difficult it was, if someone helped, Lei Xingfeng would bring his little sister to find something suitable to return the favor. The life of a practitioner was actually very comfortable. Of course, the precondition was that they didn't go out. Once they went out, they would encounter countless dangers. The chances of them meeting danger were many times higher than normal people. Therefore, every time they went out, most practitioners would rest at home for a period of time. This period of time was for them to relax and think. Lei Xingfeng also gradually got used to this rhythm. In the beginning, he couldn't wait to go out every day. If he wasn't looking for materials, then he would be fighting with people. Now he understood the importance of controlling his own life and training rhythm. Being constantly nervous was definitely not the life he wanted. In addition, Thunderstorm and Lei Xingyao were at home. Therefore, he cherished this period of time. Other than training, he spent most of his time with his family. Even if it was just sitting and chatting, he felt endless joy. His restless heart finally calmed down a lot. After everyone finished their breakfast, they still sat in the wooden shed. The air here was good, and the temperature was just right. Sitting here was the most comfortable. Lei Xingyao stared at the blackbird on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder. She said, "Brother, why does Burbuda still look like it hasn't woken up yet?" Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "I just beat it up before breakfast, so it's like this." Everyone understood what Lei Xingfeng meant when he said beat it up. After 3 lightning strikes, the black bird entered a state of digesting and training. Of course, it wouldn't care about anyone else. Lei Xingyao also knew, but little girls naturally sympathize with the weak. She said, "Brother, can't you find another way to train? Burbuda is too pitiful." Thunderstorm immediately laughed. He said, "Yao Yao, this is a good thing for Burbuda. Don't look at that bird's pitiful appearance. It actually enjoys it a lot. Just leave it alone." Lei Xingyao made no sound. Although the blackbird was digesting the lightning, it still heard Lei Xingyao's words. Although it didn't want to move, it was still very grateful to Lei Xingyao. This little girl was much stronger than her brother. Jean Dia laughed and said, "Afeng, this trip to outer space must have been very rewarding." "Hee, can you tell me more about the outer space? I'm very curious." Lei Xingfeng said, "That place is different from the outer space. When I first went there, I didn't think much of it. But there are countless hidden dangers. If you don't understand the situation, you can die. If it wasn't for the ancestors' protection, I wouldn't have been able to survive in outer space." Thinking about the cultivation field outside the Great Forbidden Land, one could silently trap people to death in there without using force. Everyone present revealed a yearning expression. Mad Eagle said, "That is a legendary place. If I can go there once, I can die in peace." Yin Shaoqing smiled wryly. "Little Eagle, you can't afford to go." She understood the price of going, because the hidden sect she belonged to had Tao Lords. Even if the hidden sect was wealthy, there were very few people who could go to outer space. Even she didn't have the qualifications. Mad Eagle said, What price do I have to pay to go?" Yin Shaoqing said, "The market price, 28 to 30,000 yin rings. Friend price, 22 to 28,000 yin rings. Friendship price, 18 to 22,000 yin rings. Family price, 15 to 18,000 yin rings. You can gather 6 to 15 people at once. This depends on the Tao Lord's strength. If the Tao Lord is strong, you can send more over. If the Tao Lord is weak, you can send less. Little Eagle, do you have that many yin rings to spend?" Chapter 326. Aside from Lei Xingfeng, everyone else was dumbfounded. 10 to 20,000 yin rings for a trip to the outer realms? As long as one's brain wasn't damaged, no one would go. Even if they had the money, they wouldn't spend it. This was too frightening. Normally, they'd be happy enough to earn a dozen yin rings. Spending so many yin rings all at once was a joke. Jean Dia said, "Don't even think about going in this lifetime. No wonder you need to be a true monarch at the very least to go to the outer realms. If there's no one to guide you, even a newly ascended true monarch probably won't be able to go. The cost is too high. It's not something we can imagine. Most ninth ring true monarchs wouldn't be able to earn 20,000 rings in their entire lives, let alone spend it all in one go. Everyone was shocked by the number of rings they'd spent. Lei Xingfeng laughed. But if there's an elder to guide me, I might be able to earn a few tens of thousands of rings. Then I'd be rich. Hee, there are countless good things in the outer realms. Jean Dia shook his head. Forget it. Which elder would have so many rings to squander? It's unrealistic to spend so much effort protecting them. Lei Xingfeng giggled. Didn't I just go once? He said proudly. Jean Dia said, that's because the forefather dotes on you. Lei Xingfeng knew very well that this wasn't doting. If he hadn't shown his miraculous side, even if Wu Yang doted on him, he wouldn't have spent so many rings to bring him there. No cultivator was a fool. This had nothing to do with doting. However, he didn't refute Jean Dia's words. After this exploration of the outer realms, Wu Yang had great confidence in Lei Xingfeng. With the addition of the sky divination crystal, Wu Yang could even go to the outer realms. In the future, he would need to spend so many rings. In other words, even before Wu Yang became a Tao Lord, he would be able to bring people to outer space with the help of the sky divination crystal. This was an incredible feat. Lei Xingfeng wasn't worried about this matter. He was thinking about the resources for himself and Elder Thunderstorm's advancement. He had already collected quite a lot of things. Although he was still lacking a portion, he had also obtained a lot of materials that true monarchs and heaven monarchs needed. He could use these materials to exchange for what he needed. The bountiful harvest from this trip to the outer realm was unimaginable. Lei Xian Yao smiled. Aye, big brother, I've already applied for 2 family identity cards. In the future, when you come, you don't have to stay in the town anymore. You can enter the secret space of our secret door. You can come live in my house. Lei Xingfeng asked, don't you guys not allow men to enter the hidden sect? Lei Xian Yao said, and normally they are not allowed to enter, but they can apply for immediate family members, and they also need the ancestors' approval to receive an identity card. Only then can they enter the secret hidden space. Yin Shaoqing added, they can only move around a certain area. There are many places they can't go. Thunderstorm smiled. Then you can stay at home and not go out. I don't have any objections. Lei Xingfeng nodded. Lei Xian Yao's hidden sect was all for women. There were many sensitive areas, so it was normal for them to restrict their activities. Lei Xian Yao's position in the hidden sect was extremely high, so she had a large manor in the secret hidden space. It was enough for her to move around. Lei Xingfeng suddenly thought of something. He said, in the forbidden area of the outer realm, we once found a powerful weapon, puppet beasts. If there were a few of them, even a true monarch would have to run away. If it was a silver puppet beast, if it was a gold puppet beast, even a normal true monarch wouldn't be its opponent. Thunderstorm said in disbelief, really? It's that powerful? Yin Shaoqing's face revealed a shocked expression. She was much more knowledgeable than the others. Although she had never been to the outer realm, she obviously knew more than the others. She said, puppet beast? The one with the head of a beast and the torso of a human? Lei Xingfeng nodded. That's right, it's that kind of puppet beast. Yin Shaoqing said, I know that there are silver, gold, and sky crystal. I don't know how powerful they are, but I know that the most powerful one is sky crystal. It can fight with a Tao monarch. Although it might not be able to defeat a Tao monarch, it can definitely block a few moves. Lei Xingfeng and the others couldn't help but be shocked. It could actually fight with a Tao monarch. That was terrifying. Yin Shaoqing said, have you seen a sky crystal puppet beast? Xian Feng laughed bitterly. If we had really seen a sky crystal mannequin beast, we probably wouldn't have been able to come back. The highest we've seen is a gold mannequin beast, and it's even half crippled. It's mainly because we're in a small forbidden land, but if we're in a large forbidden land, it's hard to say. Yin Shaoqing said, there are too many good things in the forbidden area, but it's also the most dangerous place. There are many places in the forbidden area that even down monarchs can't enter. Lei Xingfeng said, "We were at the edge of the forbidden area and almost couldn't get out. Hee, we were scared to death." Jean Dia said with longing, "I really want to see this puppet beast with my own eyes." Lei Xianyao also said, Yes, I want to see too. I'm really curious." Xian Feng raised his hand and released a silver-level mannequin. This was a complete mannequin and not a broken one. This was a silver-level mannequin that had used up all of its energy, or it could be said that it couldn't obtain any energy and had stopped moving. This is a silver puppet beast. Everyone stood up and surrounded it. Lei Xianyao was shocked. "Brother, you caught a puppet beast? Why isn't it moving?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "I don't know why it's not moving. I need some time to study it." Jean Dia said, "If it can move, then we'll be in big trouble, hee." Just as he finished speaking, he saw the puppet beast's head turn. The beast's head was facing him, and its red eyes flashed for a moment before quickly dimming. At that moment, Jean Dia was extremely shocked. He couldn't help but take a step back. Damn, it moved. Lei Xingfeng knew that it was just a trace of energy that couldn't be a threat anymore. He said, "Uncle Jean, it's fine." Yin Shaoqing walked around the puppet beast and sighed. "Amazing. I've seen a complete gold puppet beast before, and it didn't move at all. After that, I spent a lot of effort, but I still couldn't figure out what's inside it." Mad Eagle said, "It's really exquisite." Xian Feng had collected quite a number of silver and gold ranked mannequin beasts, of which there were quite a few complete ones, as well as a large amount of broken pieces, all of which he had collected to study. The silver puppet beast's head was a beast's head with a protruding mouth, 2 triangular ears, a pair of red eyes, a thick neck, and a metal armor on its body. Of course, the armor was already fused with the rest of its body. It wasn't a piece of armor that could be taken off. Just like a human, it had a pair of nimble hands and feet. Everyone knocked on the puppet beast and clicked their tongues in amazement. Tiger Love said, "This thing doesn't look like it's good for fighting." Yin Shaoqing said, "It's not just bad for fighting. If this thing was at its peak, it could fight against a monarch. After all, the Forbidden Land has existed for too long. These puppet beasts that can still move can only maintain their basic combat power. Many of them can't even maintain their basic combat power. Even so, it's not something you can fight against." In other words, even the weakest puppet beast was much stronger than a 9th ring sage. Although they weren't convinced, everyone knew that Yin Shaoqing wasn't lying. Lei Xingfeng especially knew how terrifying this thing was. Thinking back to how careful Wu Yang was, he knew how difficult it was to deal with. Yin Shaoqing said, "Someone bought this thing. A complete puppet beast can be exchanged for a lot of yin rings." Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "I won't trade. I want to keep it for research." He really wanted to understand the secrets of the puppet beast. If he could find the key to it and use it for his own use, then it would be worth more than yin rings. Yin Shaoqing didn't try to persuade him this time. He only said, "There are many monarchs who want to study the puppet beast, but so far, no one has succeeded. No one knows how it was created." Lei Xingfeng nodded. He actually had something to rely on. What he learned in this life was cultivation, and what he relied on was what he learned in his past life. He hoped to analyze the puppet beast's secrets. Gradually, everyone lost interest in the puppet beast. It was just a puppet that couldn't move. No matter how you looked at it, it was just like that. So everyone returned to the table, eating snacks and chatting. Lei Xingfeng put away the puppet beast and sat down. Thunderstorm said, "A phone, forget about the outer realm. I want to go to the outer realm. Do you have any ideas?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "That's not a problem. However, we need to collect the coordinates of the outer realm. We also need to find out about the outer realm specialties. We need to know where the materials come from. There are countless outer realms. We can't go to every place." Thunderstorm nodded. "I've already collected some, but I don't have a secret door. I need the help of a monarch." Lei Xingyao giggled. "Just ask Granny for help." She pulled on Yin Shaoqing's arm and shook it. Yin Shaoqing smiled bitterly. "I'm just a beginner monarch. There are many places I can go, and I need a lot of yin rings. If it's an outer realm closer, I can send you there. If it's an outer realm farther away, I can't open the secret door." Lei Xingfeng only now understood that even monarchs had different levels. Sky monarchs and Dao monarchs were probably the same. This was probably the result of forcefully advancing. But no matter what, a Dao monarch was much stronger than a ninth ring sage. The two couldn't be compared. After chatting for a while, everyone dispersed. Lei Xingfeng returned to his room. He was thinking about where to find a thunderstorm. As long as he could find natural lightning, he could quickly reach the peak of ninth ring. He was still a bit away from that. With a flip of his wrist, the thunderstorm beast remains that he had traded with Monarch Chun Zhao appeared in his hand. It wasn't a big bone, but it contained rich lightning. Lei Xingfeng examined it carefully. This bone was very important. Thunderstorm beasts were almost impossible to hunt. Lei Xingfeng felt that he was very lucky to have obtained this bone. Chapter 327. After this bone was refined with lightning, it could be fused with Lei Yin, increasing his quality by a large margin. Lei Xingfeng was in a dilemma as to whether to refine it now or wait until he became a monarch. The advantage of refining it now was that it would directly increase Lei Yin's quality. But the disadvantage was that if he became a monarch, he wouldn't have a good thunderous star beast remains, which would be troublesome. He would need to take another path and use different materials. Furthermore, the effects would not be as good as lightning attributed bones. Lei Xingfeng thought for a while and decided to keep this bone. Wu Yang once said that he would bring him to a trade fair after a while to see if he could find a thunderous star beast remains. It would be great if he could find a bigger thunderous star beast remains. It was better to organize his Luanchang space. He had obtained quite a lot of things this time and needed to store them separately. He was a person who liked to be clean and didn't like to be messy. Only by being organized would it be easy to use. He put the collected resources into the Luanchang space. Among them, the things he needed to level up were put together and labeled with their names and quantities. This was a big category. Metal ores were a big category. Living creatures' flesh and blood were also a big category. Currently, there were only golden eagles and Saturn star beasts. Plants and medicines were also a big category. Then there were the things that couldn't be categorized, such as mannequins and beasts. Food was also a big category. There were all kinds of food and water, cured meat, smoked meat, dried meat, braised meat, fresh fish, salted fish, dried prawns, dried chicken, and ducks. There were also more than 200 tons of rice and noodles. There were also more than 100 tons of fresh vegetables, pickles, dried bamboo shoots, dried mushrooms, and the like. There were also all kinds of side dishes, most of which were specialties. They could be considered as Lei Xingfeng's food hoard. The hunger he experienced when he was young had left a deep impression on him. Just like him, Lei Xingfeng liked to store large amounts of food. Food was replenished regularly to maintain the amount stored in the Luanchang space. There were also all kinds of cooking utensils and special tools. Fuel was also counted as a type of fuel, the majority of which was oil wood, amounting to over 1,000 tons. There was also charcoal, the best charcoal. Xian Feng himself was shocked. He didn't expect his hidden Luan space to be like a grocery store, having everything. All kinds of cloth, satin, leather, and all kinds of clothes were taken care of by the family and would be sent to Lei Xingfeng at regular intervals. Basically, he didn't care about it and kept it in his hidden Luan space. Up till now, he had saved a lot. Finally, there was Lei Xingfeng's wine collection. There were all kinds of wine, but the most famous one was the Fishman wine. There were some things that Lei Xingfeng had forgotten. For example, the ancient seal ring that he found in the ancient space, some of the steel spears and shields that he made himself in the past, and the star python record were all thrown in the corner. Lei Xingfeng decided that in the future, every time he went out, he would have to tidy up his hidden Luan space. It was too messy. Just tidying up his hidden Luan space took Lei Xingfeng 4 to 5 days. Tidying up was the most tiring thing, so after he finished, he went to sleep until a servant came to wake him up. Wu Yang sent someone to pick him up and prepare to go to the Monarch Rank Trade Fair. With Wu Yang's status, he could bring 2 ninth ring sages. Gucci and Feng Qinzong could also bring 1 each, making a total of 7 people. Other than Lei Xingfeng's spot, the other 3 spots were fought over in the hidden sects. Who wouldn't want to go to a monarch rank trade fair? Eldest senior brother Yuko, second senior brother Xi and Jaluan, and third senior sister Chi Mayin snatched this rare opportunity. In fact, there was nothing they could do about it. Who told the three senior brothers and senior sisters to occupy such a good spot? Unless they modestly gave it away, no one else would be able to get it. Then there was Lei Xingfeng, who was directly named by the old ancestor. No one could take his spot. After greeting Thunderstorm and his little sister, Lei Xingfeng didn't bring anyone. He directly got into the car and quickly arrived at Wu Yang's residence. Lei Xingfeng was the last to arrive. The group was already standing in Wu Yang's room. Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Founder, are we going to go through the secret door?" Wu Yang smiled. "Little brat, why are you so late?" Lei Xingfeng scratched his head embarrassedly. "I overslept, Wu Yang said. "Lazy bum, all right. This time, we're going to the outer world. Have you booked a place and brought the items you want to trade?" Everyone agreed. Only then did Wu Yang open the secret door and lead everyone out. This was a yellow plain that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were only sparse weeds and a few scattered animals. It seemed abnormally desolate. When everyone came out of the secret door, they immediately saw an incomparably desolate scene. Yuko said, this place, there's not even a single strand of hair." Gucci laughed and scolded. "What do you mean, not even a single strand of hair?" "There's a lot of hair, okay." It was rare for him to crack a joke. He said, "This place has been abandoned a long time ago. There are almost no resources here. Originally, this place was a huge natural pasture. Later on, it gradually became barren." Wu Yang said, "This place is not open to the public. Only during the trade fair will true monarchs come here. Everyone, follow me." As he spoke, he flew into the air. After getting his bearings, he immediately flew out. Everyone followed closely behind. Feng Qinzong said, "This is the first time I've come here. Haha, this time I've memorized the coordinates. In the future, I can come here whenever I want." Gucci said, "What are you doing here? There's nothing here. It's a waste of time. Other than the trade fair, what other true monarchs would come here?" Feng Qinzong was speechless. That's right. He got these coordinates to trade. Why else would he come here? There was nothing here. He said, "That's true," and laughed awkwardly. As they flew, Lei Xingfeng found that this place was indeed barren. The path was full of withered weeds and bones. There were only a few small animals wandering around. There weren't even any large animals. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "Why is this place so barren?" Wu Yang said, "There's no water. I don't know why, but it doesn't rain here. After a dozen years, this place has been completely abandoned. The occasional light, rain, doesn't help at all. This used to be a natural pasture, but it gradually declined." Lei Xingfeng understood. "So there's no water?" He asked again, "Are there no mines here?" Wu Yang said, "There used to be some, but not many. They were quickly emptied out. Then, it was basically neither dead nor alive. It's rare for cultivators to come here." Gucci said, "The scenery here used to be great. Haha, now it's a mess." He always remembered that Lei Xingfeng liked to look at the scenery. Every time he saw a different scenery, he couldn't help but exclaim. Lei Xingfeng laughed. "This scenery isn't bad either. Each has its own flavor." The scenery was not only pure and beautiful. This kind of desolation also had a kind of soul-stirring beauty. It all depended on how you looked at it. Of course, whether it was Wu Yang or Qi Mei Yun, they ignored this kind of scenery. After flying for about half a day, Gucci said, "We'll be there soon." Lei Xingfeng saw a large wooden shed. It was a very simple wooden shed, far worse than the one in his courtyard. The 7 of them landed outside the wooden shed. Lei Xingfeng noticed that many others also landed from the sky. Many of them appeared very suddenly. Basically, a perfected person brought a 9th ring perfected person, and a heavenly lord brought 2. However, no doubt lords came yet. If they did, they could probably bring as many people as they wanted. Wooden sheds were connected to wooden sheds. Wu Yang said, "I've already reserved a wooden shed. Let's go." Xi and Feng estimated that there were about 70 to 80 wooden sheds here, all of which were extremely simple and crude, with 4 wooden pillars that were joined together by wooden planks. They could block a bit of the sun, but they couldn't block the rain. From the wooden sheds, one could see streaks of light passing through the gaps between the wooden planks, but there was no rain here. The ground wasn't cleaned, but it had been trampled hard. Lei Xingfeng said, "This wooden shed isn't built now, is it?" Wu Yang smiled and said, "Of course it wasn't built now. It has been here since the first trade. It has probably been a few decades. At the beginning, there were only a few people trading here. Now, there are at least 60 or 70 people. The scope of the trade is getting wider and wider. More and more experts are coming. Sooner or later, this wooden shed will be demolished and rebuilt." Wu Yang brought everyone to a wooden shed near the center. He said, "This is the wooden shed. Hey, this is the wooden shed I reserved first." There were already 4 people in the wooden shed, 2 perfected persons and 2 ninth ring perfected persons. Lei Xingfeng didn't know any of them. The wooden shed was covered with thick animal skins. There were also 2 small tables. The 4 people sat cross-legged. Hearing Wu Yang's words, one of them said, "Isn't it first come, first serve? Go look for it somewhere else." Wu Yang couldn't help but laugh. He said, "Are you new?" That person said, "So what if I'm new? Can a newcomer trade?" Wu Yang didn't expect 2 amateurs to come. He immediately released his powerful aura and said calmly, "Scram." That incomparably powerful aura came crashing down. He was just 1 step away from becoming a Tao Lord. This level of power was truly incredible. The 2 people were frightened. As for the other 2 ninth ring perfected persons, they directly fell unconscious. The 2 of them stood up in a panic. One of them said in horror, Senior, we were rude." The 2 of them kept retreating, their faces pale. The people in the wooden shed next to them sneered. Someone said, "Hey, I just told you that there are people in this wooden shed. Now you're dumbfounded." Someone said, "2 idiots. I don't know where they came from. They don't know any rules. They think they're so great just because they're perfected persons." Someone else said, "If I were a senior, I'd just slap them to death. They're still so arrogant at the trade fair. They won't even know how they died." Wu Yang said calmly, "What's senior and junior? Scram." He was extremely beautiful, but when he released his aura, it was as condensed as a mountain. People would immediately ignore his appearance. The 2 of them walked out in a panic. Lei Xingfeng said, "They're leaving just like that?" A smile appeared on the corner of Wu Yang's mouth as the 2 of them looked at Xian Feng in shock. Lei Xingfeng stretched out his hand and pointed at the 2 perfected persons lying on the ground. Only then did the 2 of them realize. Their faces immediately turned red. They turned around and grabbed 2 of their subordinates. They didn't even clean up the animal skins on the ground and the short table and quickly left. The 2 of them had just become perfected persons not long ago. No one knew where they heard about the trade fair and got the coordinates. Chapter 328. It wouldn't be a big deal if things were a little more peaceful, but both of them were newly promoted monarchs. They thought that they would have the upper hand no matter which monarch they faced, but they didn't expect to meet a heavenly monarch. They didn't dare to fight anymore and ran out dejectedly. Qi Meiyun shouted happily, "That's great. This place has been tidied up. I don't have to worry about it." Qi Meiyun then took out a few more small square tables. These square tables that were placed on the carpet were very popular. It was also customary to sit cross-legged here. Of course, there were also large tables and chairs. There were even reclining chairs and low couches. It was all up to one's preference. Qi Meiyun and Lei Xingfeng worked together. They set up the small square tables and placed a fruit platter. In addition to fresh fruits, Lei Xingfeng also took out many pastries and candied fruits. These were all Jean Depang's handiwork. After everything was done, Lei Xingfeng sat down next to Gucci. However, Wu Yang waved and said, "Little guy, come here." Gucci was very interested. "Master, my disciple is about to become your disciple." Wu Yang chuckled and said, "What? Are you jealous?" Gucci was speechless. His master was a scoundrel. There was nothing he could do. Lei Xingfeng hurriedly changed the topic. He didn't dare to annoy his master. He smiled and said, "Master, how do we trade here? It seems like there's no one in charge." Gucci said, "We trade here. There's a wooden shed and a shop. You can put what you want on the table or write it down. Of course, if you don't want to trade, you can go to other sheds and find what you want. Then you can trade with your own." Lei Xingfeng was surprised. This kind of trade, it's too primitive." Wu Yang said, "There's no way around it. There's no way to auction it if there's no powerful person here." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "That's good. Can we trade there too?" He was referring to Ninth Ring Sage. Wu Yang said, "There are no taboos. You can trade anything." Gucci said, "It's best to trade with a true monarch. Otherwise, it'll be easy to be swindled. It'll be very troublesome to find someone to ask for it." Wu Yang said, "Ninth Ring Sage can't come by himself. They're all brought by the true monarchs. Therefore, not many people dare to slander him." Lei Xingfeng was suddenly excited. He said, "Junior Marshal Uncle, let's go and have a look together." Feng Qinzhou nodded. "Do the others want to join us?" Yuko, Xi Jiaoluan, and Qi Meiyan all wanted to go. The more the merrier. In a place like this, even a Ninth Ring Sage was no different from an ordinary person. He had to rely on the support of his family's elders. It had to be known that in every wooden shed, there was at least one true monarch, and at most 2 or 3. There was no lack of heavenly monarchs. As for Tao Lords, it was unknown. Even if there were, one wouldn't be able to tell. Feng Qinzhou smiled. "Let's go together. However, everyone needs to understand that there are many experts here. Be careful with your words and actions. Don't cause trouble for your elders." Yuko and the others nodded. They weren't people who hadn't seen the world. They knew the severity of the situation. This really wasn't a place to mess around. Having the support of elders didn't mean you could bully others. There were hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Who knew what kind of experts were here? It was better to behave. Lei Xingfeng thought that all the true monarchs and heavenly monarchs probably told their subordinates not to be arrogant. Feng Qinzhou led the 4 out of the wooden shed and walked to another one. There was only a very narrow path between the wooden sheds. It was about the width of 3 people walking side by side. Each wooden shed was independent and surrounded by narrow paths. It was very convenient to go to another shed. There were 2 people in the wooden shed next door. It was obvious that they were a true monarch and a Ninth Ring Sage. Feng Qinzhou said, "Sorry to disturb. True monarch Feng Qinzhou." The person smiled. "Come in and sit. I'm Yan Luli, true monarch." As for the Ninth Ring Sage, he didn't have a chance to introduce himself. There was a mat on the ground and a few short tables. Everyone sat down cross-legged. Feng Qinzhou smiled. "This is the list of materials I want to trade." Then he handed over a star Python record. A star Python record could record a lot of content. In this world, cultivators mostly use star Python records. Especially high-level cultivators, they all had a few star Python records made from star Python skin. They used them to record all kinds of content. Yin Luli took the star Python record and looked it over carefully. I have the 2 materials you want. The materials I need." He also took out the star Python record and handed it to Feng Qinzhou. "These are the materials I need. Take a look. If you have them, we can trade." The 2 of them discussed for a while and quickly traded their materials. Xi and Feng realized that this method was very fast, but it was very complicated. One needed to take out their extra materials and then look for the ones they needed from the other's extra materials. After going through a few wooden sheds, Lei Xingfeng gave up on the idea of trading. There was no room for a Ninth Ring Sage to speak here. He could only follow Feng Qinzhou and watch him trade. If that was the case, this trip would be a waste. Just before Feng Qinzhou entered the next wooden shed, Lei Xingfeng said, "Young Marshal Uncle, I'll go back first. I've seen the general process of the trade. There's no point in following." Feng Qinzhou nodded. "Okay, what about you guys?" He asked Yuko and the others. In fact, Yuko, Xi Jiaoluan, and Qi Meiyan were all impatient, but no one said anything. When Lei Xingfeng finished, they naturally didn't want to follow, and all said they wanted to go back. Wu Yang and Gucci saw Lei Xingfeng and the others come back and smiled. Wu Yang said, "I was right. At most 3 to 5 sheds. They'll definitely come back." Lei Xingfeng and the others returned to the wooden sheds and sat down one by one. It wasn't that they used up a lot of energy, but that the trade just now made them feel extremely bored. Wu Yang saw Lei Xingfeng sit down listlessly and asked, "What's wrong?" Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "It's boring. It doesn't have much to do with us." Wu Yang smiled. "Of course. You're ninth ring sages. The ninth ring sages here are all disciples. How could they have the materials a monarch needs?" Lei Xingfeng was dissatisfied. "I have the materials, but no one will trade with me." Gucci smiled. "I know you have a lot of good things, but no one else knows." Lei Xingfeng said, "Master, you have to help me." Gucci said, "What are you going to use to trade for the materials you need?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Simple. I'll trade with star-eroding gold cores." He had too many star-eroding gold cores. Back then, he and Wu Yang had a whole pit full of them. Who knew how many they had dug out? He didn't need that many himself. Gucci said, "Star-eroding gold cores? Even I don't have them." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "I do. Master, I'll give you as much as you want." Wu Yang smiled. "I can guarantee that." "Haha, a phone has a lot of star-eroding gold cores." Gucci said, "Then give me 20 pieces." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "20 pieces? Master, are you sure?" Gucci said, "Then I'll double it. 40 pieces." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Master treats me well. That's why I want so little." "Master, I'll give you 100 pieces. However, you have to help me once." He wasn't giving it for free. It was equivalent to making a deal with his master. He knew that giving it to his master for free would make things difficult for him. Gucci revealed a satisfied expression and said, "All right, master will help you." Yuko smiled. "A phone, give me some too." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Sure, give me something in exchange." Yuko's face turned bitter. That, what can I give you in exchange?" Wu Yang smiled. A star-eroding gold core. Even the cheapest one is worth a few hundred yen rings. Of course, it depends on the quality. Yuko wanted to take advantage of the situation, but it wasn't easy. He said, "Huh? That's so expensive." Wu Yang said, "Nonsense. Even Heavenly Monarch Realm masters need that. Do you think it's cheap?" Yuko stopped talking. He didn't dare to bully Lei Xingfeng. Whether it was Wu Yang or Gucci, they wouldn't give him the chance. He said, "All right, I can't afford it." Lei Xingfeng obviously understood that it was important to maintain a good relationship with the seniors. He said, "What thunder element materials do you have? As long as you have them, I'll make the exchange." Actually, his meaning was clear. Just take out any thunder element material, no matter how valuable it was, and he'd make the exchange. He was just looking for a reason to show that he wasn't giving it away for free. But Yuko liked to take advantage of others. He didn't understand these words. After thinking for a while, he smiled bitterly. "I don't have any thunder element materials." Yuko didn't understand, but Xi and Jialuan and Qi Meiyan understood. The two each took out an ordinary thunder element material, and Lei Xingfeng didn't even look at it before making the exchange. It was as good as giving it away for free. Gucci couldn't help but shake his head. Yuko was too narrow-minded. Strictly speaking, he wasn't as good as Xi and Jialuan. He wasn't even as good as Lei Xingfeng. After the three finished the exchange, Yuko finally reacted. He slapped his head and took out a few worthless materials. They were really worthless. Lei Xingfeng didn't give much and just gave him a star eclipse gold core. Even so, Yuko was all smiles. Gucci couldn't help but laugh and scold him. "Useless thing. You don't look like a senior at all." Yuko didn't care about his master's scolding. Scolding him wouldn't cost him half a yen ring. He just had a simple and honest look on his face and kept laughing. Gucci could only shake his head and sigh. Yuko really wasn't cut out to be a senior. Wu Yang didn't say anything. He just watched with a smile. He knew how many star eclipse gold cores Lei Xingfeng had. He also knew that if it weren't for Yuko's stingy personality, Lei Xingfeng would have given him more instead of just one star eclipse gold core. Lei Xingfeng couldn't do anything about it. He knew from his previous life that if you gave something away for free, it wouldn't be appreciated. Even if it was something valuable, it was the same. Some people wouldn't even be grateful and would even be greedy. These people were the hardest to get along with, so he had to know his limits. Chapter 329. After receiving Lei Xingfeng's star-eroding gold core, Gucci was in a good mood. He said, "A phone. What do you need help with? Tell me." Lei Xingfeng nodded. He took out a wooden board and a small knife, quickly carving on it. After a while, he made a signboard with words written on it. Star-eroding gold core in exchange for thunder attribute materials, including materials that ninth ring sage can use. Gucci understood at a glance. This was the person who wanted him to do the trade. This way, he wouldn't be suppressed by the true monarch. Lei Xingfeng made the signboard and stuck in the ground. He said, "Master, help me trade." This matter was too simple. Gucci smiled. "Okay, I'll take advantage of a phone." "All right, how do you plan to trade?" Lei Xingfeng said, "It's fine as long as I need the materials urgently." Master, wait a moment." He took out a blank star Python record and quickly recorded the things he needed. Among them, he marked out more than 10 important materials. Gucci nodded and smiled. "Not bad, this is a smart method." "All right, Yuko, do you and your junior brother have anything you want to trade? Leave it to me." Yuko and the others didn't have any confidence. Exingelo sighed and said, "I don't know what the true monarch needs. Sai, how do I trade? Also, I need too many materials. Until now, I'm still lacking a lot of materials. It's really troublesome." Chi Meiyun said, "I haven't even collected a quarter of the materials." "Master, I also don't know what the true monarch needs," the three complained. Gucci sighed and said, "You guys still haven't worked hard enough after reaching ninth ring. Look at a phone. He's already collected more than half of the materials. If he's lucky this time, he might be able to collect all of them. How long has he been cultivating? You guys are too lacking." Wu Yang chuckled and said, "Don't worry. Let them slowly collect them. When a phone advances, they will have to call him young martial uncle." Immediately, Yuko and the other two's faces turned red. This was too much of a slap in the face. If Feng Qinzong became the youngest martial uncle, that would be fine. After all, he used to be the eldest martial brother. But if Feng was their master's youngest disciple, if he advanced while the others didn't, that would be too embarrassing. Lei Xingfeng didn't expect the patriarch to say this. Wasn't this making him hate himself? He smiled and said, "I haven't reached the peak of the ninth ring yet. Patriarch, I still have a long way to go. I can't compare to my senior brothers and sisters." Wu Yang also felt that he had gone a little overboard. It was too much of a blow. He smiled and said, "In short, all of you have to work hard and strengthen our secret sect." Yuko, Xi and Jiaoluan, and Chi Meiyun all replied, "Yes." Who would dare to not listen to the patriarch's teachings? Lei Xingfeng's small signboard was stuck in the ground. Anyone who came in would be able to see it clearly. The star-eroding gold core was actually quite rare. It was a material that both true monarchs and heavenly monarchs could use. Some of them needed a lot, so true monarchs came to trade. It was just that many true monarchs didn't have any lightning attribute materials. Even if they did, they didn't have much. However, the lightning attribute materials that could be kept in the hands of true monarchs were all high quality or even top quality. So, Lei Xingfeng didn't have a lot of materials. There were only a few that couldn't satisfy his needs. Soon, the true monarchs and heavenly monarchs at the trade fair found out that a ninth ring sage had a star-eroding gold core and only wanted to trade it for lightning attribute materials. Lei Xingfeng was very bored as he played with a fragment of a humanoid beast. A hunchbacked old man walked in. Wu Yang casually glanced over. When he saw the hunchbacked old man's face, he couldn't help but stand up in shock. He said, "Brother Tuo, why are you here?" The hunchbacked old man said, "Brother Wu Yang, if you can come, then why can't I?" Wu Yang's face was full of shock. He said, "You know that's not what I'm talking about. You've been missing for at least 50 years. Where did you run off to?" Lei Xingfeng asked softly. "Master, who is he?" Gucci said, "Tuo Yesher, a heavenly monarch expert. He's a very powerful explorer. He's a madman." He spoke very softly and gave a simple introduction of this hunchbacked old man. Tuo Yesher turned to Gucci and said, "You can call me a madman, but don't mumble. Say out loud. It's fine." Gucci said awkwardly, "Greetings, senior." "Huh." Tuo Yesher said, Brother Wuyong, it's a long story. He sat down and said, give me something to drink. Do you have any good wine? Wuyong took out a bottle of Murloc wine. Here. Tua Yesher took a big gulp and exhaled. Blackfish wine. Not bad, good stuff. He gulped down a bottle in a few gulps and said, give me another bottle. Wuyong shook his head and threw him another bottle. I don't have any more. This is all I have. Tua Yesher said, stingy. This time, he didn't drink it all in one gulp. Instead, he drank slowly. He said, indeed, it's been 50 years. Haha, it would be strange if you saw me. I was trapped in the forbidden grounds for 50 years. Damn, I was almost done for. Wu Yang's eyes lit up. He said, you entered the core of the forbidden grounds? Haha, did you find anything good? Tua Yesher said, I did find something, but compared to being trapped for 50 years, I'd rather not have it. Damn, I'm so unlucky. As he spoke, he couldn't help but take a big gulp of the fishman wine. He praised, Brother Wuyong, where did you get this blackfish wine? How about exchanging some with me? Wuyong usually liked to drink a few mouthfuls of this fishman wine. Even if he had a lot of it, he wasn't willing to take it out to trade. Although the value of this wine wasn't high, it was extremely difficult to obtain it. He laughed. This wine was obtained by my grand disciple. If you want it, you can trade it with him. Of course, you can't force him. As he spoke, he pointed at Xian Feng. Tua Yesher turned around. Before he saw Lei Xingfeng, he saw the sign on the ground. He was shocked. This is a planet-eroding gold core? Who has it? Lei Xingfeng was playing with a dull beast fragment. He said, I have it. Tua Yesher said, I also need a planet-eroding gold core. Haha, I need a lot. What do you want? Then he saw the request on the sign. Thunder element materials. This is difficult. Thunder element materials have always been rare, and I don't really care. Can you trade it with something else? Lei Xingfeng didn't want anything else. He had a lot of other materials. Even if he traded them, they wouldn't be of much use. He said this, I don't want anything else. I only want thunder element materials. It's best if they're used for advancement. Tua Yesher scratched his head. He saw Lei Xingfeng playing with a doll beast fragment. His eyes lit up. He said, you like doll beasts? Lei Xingfeng sighed. I like them, but what's the use? If I don't understand how they work, I can't play with them even if I like them. Tua Yesher laughed. With a wave of his hand, a gold-level mannequin appeared. Xian Feng mocked silently. I have one too. But the next scene caused him to open his mouth wide. That gold-level mannequin slowly turned its head, its body making kabiye sounds, quickly confirming its master. It walked behind Tua Yesher. Lei Xingfeng was dumbfounded. It's alive. How did you do this? Tua Yesher said proudly. I didn't stay in the forbidden area for 50 years for nothing. During that time, I learned about doll beasts. I know all doll beasts below gold level. Lei Xingfeng was interested. He said, how do we trade? Tua Yesher thought for a moment and said, a living gold doll beast for 100 planet eroding gold cores. Lei Xingfeng said, I want to know how to repair a doll beast. Tua Yesher said, that's fine. I have a Star Python record. It records how to disassemble and assemble, how to activate it, and how to control the core of a doll beast. And I'll trade it for 150 planet eroding gold cores. Lei Xingfeng didn't care how many planet eroding gold cores he had to trade for, but he couldn't be a fool. He said, 100. Tua Yesher said, 140. Lei Xingfeng was about to say something when Tua Yesher said, this is the lowest price. It's up to you. Xian Feng silently cursed the old fox. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a lot of star-eroding gold cores in his hands, he would definitely continue to bargain. However, he really didn't care about these few star-eroding gold cores. After a while, he nodded, deal. Tua Yesher laughed. Great. Good, I like it. How could I not like it? This Star Python record was obtained from the Forbidden Land. There were many things he couldn't understand, but there were no problems with simple operations. Whether it was disassembling or assembling, it was easy to learn. The two traded, and Lei Xingfeng obtained the Star Python record. He said, do you still want to trade for gold all beasts? Tua Yesher said, of course, why not? He needed a large amount of planet-eroding gold cores. He said, I have 3 gold doll beasts. They're all alive. I'll trade them for 300 planet-eroding gold cores. Lei Xingfeng didn't even bother to bargain. He directly took out 300 planet-eroding gold cores and said, Deal. This shocked Tua Yesher. Tua Yesher said, Good guy, how many planet-eroding gold cores do you have? Lei Xingfeng laughed. Not many, but it's enough to trade for gold doll beasts. What a joke. Living gold doll beasts had powerful attack power. Although they were a little stiff, they could even block a few attacks from a Heaven Monarch Realm expert. If there were a few, they could definitely block a Heaven Monarch Realm expert's attack. After the trade, Lei Xingfeng obtained a Star Python record and 3 living gold doll beasts. Of course, Tua Yesher also gave Lei Xingfeng the secret of how to command gold doll beasts. Lei Xingfeng kept the items in his hidden Luan space, planning to study them when he returned. He was happy. He waved his hand, and a row of Fishman wine appeared. There were 10 bottles of Fishman wine. Lei Xingfeng said, Senior, I see that Senior likes to drink. Here are 10 bottles of Fishman wine. They're all high-quality wines. Senior can try them. Tua Yesher was shocked. You're giving them to me? Lei Xingfeng nodded. The trade is successful. Consider it my gift to Senior. Chapter 330. Tua Yesher was overjoyed. Good, I'll take it. Brother Wu Yang, this grand disciple of yours is amazing. He knows how to be a good person, ha. Wu Yang smiled. He knew that Lei Xingfeng had a lot of good stuff. It was a great deal to trade it for a gold-class golem. No wonder Tua Yesher didn't care about the Star Python record. With his strength, he could easily sweep through any gold-class golem. Like Wu Yang, he was a peak heavenly monarch, just one step away from becoming a Dao Lord. A gold-class golem was of little use to him. He was already very satisfied to be able to trade for so many star-eroding gold cores. These things are just too hard to find. Wu Yang said, So many star-eroding gold cores. It should be enough for you. Tua Yesher grinned. Yes, it should be enough. A gold-class golem isn't much. This time, I collected a celestial crystal golem. That's what I call amazing. Wu Yang's expression changed. How is that possible? I've only heard of heaven crystal humanoid beasts. I've never seen one. Moreover, you can't beat heaven crystal humanoid beasts. It's a weapon that can be used against Dao Lords. Tua Yesher chuckled. Do you think I didn't gain anything after spending so many years in the Forbidden Grounds? Too bad I can't revive this one. Wu Yang said exasperatedly. You picked it up? No, it's not a living celestial crystal golem. Nonsense, Tua Yadi said. If it had been a living heavenly crystal avatar, I wouldn't have been able to get out. That was a close call. I was exhausted, but then a heavenly crystal avatar popped up in the end. It almost scared me to death. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, Senior, what's going on? He was also very curious about the Forbidden Grounds. One had to know that they had gained a lot at the borders of the Forbidden Grounds and had almost been trapped. He couldn't imagine what the inside of the Forbidden Grounds was like. Tua Yesher sighed and said, The Great Forbidden Land. Everyone could hear the love and hate in his voice. The Great Forbidden Land was left behind in ancient times. As for who left it behind, we still don't know. The only thing we know is that we should be considered one of the branches of the Great Forbidden Land. Even our cultivation methods and our secret sects were all passed down from that time. But even so, the gap between us and that era is still very big. There are many things that are unclear. Perhaps you don't understand the dangers of the Forbidden Lands. Ninth Ring sages are considered top powers in their homeworld or the Outer Realms, but they're nothing in the Outer Realms. The Great Forbidden Lands are either ancient cities or ancient sects, but we can't be sure. The only thing we can be sure of is that there are plenty of treasures here that will be very helpful to our cultivation. Yang Qi nodded. Wu Yang said, In fact, we can find even more powerful cultivation methods in the Forbidden Lands. As long as we can learn and understand them, our power will increase exponentially. Tua Yesher nodded. Yes, but the Forbidden Lands are also very dangerous places. If you're not careful, you'll be trapped. Even if you can't be killed, you'll be exhausted to death. Generally speaking, unless you're a Tao Lord, you shouldn't enter the core area of the Forbidden Lands. Haha, just like how I was trapped. If I had the power of a Tao Lord, I probably would have escaped long ago. Lei Xingfeng had been to the Outer Realms and the Forbidden Lands. Although he hadn't entered the Forbidden Lands himself, he'd still wandered around the outskirts. He'd gained quite a bit of knowledge about the Outer Realms. But to Yuko, Xian Jialuan, and Qi Meiyun, this was something new. Their eyes were wide as they listened to the two patriarchs speak. Their hearts were filled with longing. After a while, Yuko said, "Sai, it's good enough that we're still in the Outer Realms. If we don't level up in the Outer Realms, there's no point in thinking about it. That place is too far away. There's no way we can go there." Xian Jialuan nodded. "Yes, it's too expensive. Even if I had so many yin rings, I wouldn't use them in this area." Qi Meiyun said, "Don't think too much about it. Let's think about how we're going to find the materials to level up. I'm about to die of frustration." The three of them were deeply moved. Searching for materials was a long process. Who knew how many setbacks and years of torment they'd have to go through before they'd be able to find a single set of materials to level up? Everyone needed different materials. Any cultivator who'd relied on their own strength to reach the peak of the 9th ring had to go through such a test. And this was only the first step. After gathering all the materials, they'd have to gather a large number of yin rings and make countless preparations. Once all of this was done, they'd have to go through a test of life and death. If they succeeded, they'd become a monarch. If they failed, they'd die. There was no luck involved. This was every 9th ring sage's life and death trial. Some 9th ring sages who'd reached the peak of the 9th ring sage might have prepared everything, but they still didn't dare embark on the path to level up. The possibility of death was just too great. Tua Yesher, Wu Yang, and Gucci were all people who'd experienced this before. They obviously knew how dangerous it was. Gucci said, "You have to have confidence. If you don't have confidence, how can you level up? Then just be a 9th ring sage for the rest of your life." None of the 4 disciples present would be satisfied with being a 9th ring sage for the rest of their lives. Reaching the 9th ring sage body was a foundation that allowed them to break away from being immortal. If they couldn't reach this height, then so be it. But they'd reach this height with their own talent and hard work. No one was willing to stay in this realm. The difference between a monarch and a 9th ring sage was like heaven and earth. Aside from Lei Xingfeng, who still had a calm expression, Yuko, Xian Jialuan, and Qi Meiyun all looked dejected. Tua Yesher glanced at the 4 of them. With his experience and knowledge, he had a trace of doubt in his heart. Lei Xingfeng's expression was too calm. That was an expression that only someone with absolute confidence would have. He was puzzled. It was very difficult to level up to a monarch. Could it be that this little guy had a legendary treasure? But then he denied it. How could there be such a treasure? No one knew that not only did Lei Xingfeng have Saint Crystals, but he also had the Shifting Glory Potion. Just one of them was enough to guarantee his advancement. If they were combined, it would be impossible for him to fail even if he wanted to. This kind of preparation was too frightening. More than a dozen monarchs came one after another, all wanting to trade for the star-eroding gold core. A few of them just happened to have thunder attribute materials and successfully traded for the star-eroding gold core from Lei Xingfeng. The news gradually spread. Many people needed the star-eroding gold core, but they didn't have any thunder attribute materials. Lei Xingfeng refused to trade. Some monarchs immediately went back to search. This was a rare opportunity. They might not be able to meet Lei Xingfeng again in the future. Of course, there were also those who wanted to use crooked methods. But seeing 2 monarch-level experts sitting in the wooden shed, no one was stupid enough to cause trouble. Feng Qinzong returned. After greeting Tua Yesher, he sat down. Lei Xingfeng smiled and asked, "Young martial uncle, what did you trade for?" "Ah, I didn't get anything good." Gucci said, "There's no need to rush. Just wait patiently. If you want to trade for the right materials, you need to be patient. You can't rush." While they were talking, someone came in. "Hee, I knew you guys would be here. I finally found you. It's so inconvenient to be alone." Lei Xingfeng looked up and couldn't help but smile. Martial Uncle Lotzi, why are you here? Why can't I be here? Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. Of course you can come. Ha, why can't you come? Ha! There was no helping it. When this old man was being unreasonable, he was really unreasonable. Lotzi was surprised. Hey, isn't this old senior? It's been a long time. He almost said old ta. Tua Yesher said, you bastard. Nothing good ever comes out of your mouth. Right? Why haven't you improved? 50 years ago, you were at this level. 50 years later, you're still at this level. You haven't improved at all. Lotzi rubbed his head and complained, Senior, it's been hard on me. I'm all alone with no help. How can I improve? Tua Yesher said, that's because you're stupid. That's because you're lazy, stupid, and lazy. It'd be strange if you improved. Lotzi was scolded to the point of speechlessness. It was clear that he was afraid of Tua Yesher. Tua Yesher looked old with wrinkles all over his face. His clothes were very ordinary, and he had a hunchback. If he walked in the world of ordinary people, he would definitely be an unremarkable old farmer. But in the world of cultivation, he was a top expert. Moreover, this guy had a great reputation among many monarchs. Many people who came in to trade showed surprised expressions when they saw him and fought to chat with him. Lotzi glanced at the wooden tablet stuck in the ground. He moved a bit and sat beside Lei Xingfeng. He pointed at the tablet and said softly, you have Star Eclipse gold cores? He didn't know that Lei Xingfeng had found the Star Eclipse beast nest and obtained a large amount of Star Eclipse gold cores. Exine Feng nodded. That's right. What's wrong? He pretended to be dumb. He knew this old man's personality too well. Sure enough, Lotzi put on a smiling face and said softly, give me some. Exine Feng laughed as well. No problem. Look, I'll exchange it with lightning attribute materials. Lotzi said, where would I get lightning-type materials? Lei Xingfeng obviously knew that this guy wanted to take advantage of him. He smiled and said, oh, you don't have any. Then forget it. Lotzi grabbed Lei Xingfeng's arm and said fawningly, a phone. I knew you were the best. Lei Xingfeng's hair stood on end. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, don't give me that. At least exchange something of equal value. Otherwise, no way. He said firmly. He knew that Lotzi wasn't a bad person, but his habits were too bad. He couldn't be spoiled. Although he knew that he would get a few Star Eclipse gold cores in the end, he definitely couldn't give them away easily. If he gave them away too easily, he wouldn't take it seriously. Lotzi moved closer and continued, a phone, what's our relationship? Hahawi. Before he could finish, Wu Yong pulled him away. Chapter 331. Wu Yong smiled and said, what are you doing? He was watching this little grand disciple closely. When La Zi came over to Lei Xingfeng's side, there was nothing he didn't understand. He immediately focused his attention on him. Sure enough, this guy's old habits were acting up again. He actually started to ask for things for free. The Planet Eclipse gold core wasn't cabbage. It was an extremely precious material. It was better to dream. La Zi smiled a little awkwardly and said, Martial Uncle, I'm just chatting with a phone. What can I do? Wu Yong knocked La Zi's head and said, don't bully a phone. His eyes gradually became sharp. La Zi smiled and said, huh, how could I? Wu Yong slapped him on the back of his head and scolded jokingly, you bastard, do you think I don't know your temper? La Zi covered his head and wanted to cry, but had no tears. He, a monarch, was slapped. Of course, the strength of the slap couldn't hurt him at all, but it was very embarrassing. He said bitterly, I know, huh? Martial Uncle, I know. He didn't know what to say. Lei Xingfeng lowered his head and his shoulders shook. He almost laughed out loud. Martial Uncle La Zi's expression must be very funny right now. With Wu Yong protecting him, La Zi obviously couldn't take advantage of him. Lei Xingfeng wouldn't really offend La Zi. He wasn't that stupid. La Zi liked to take advantage of others, just like Yuko, but he was still quite good to Lei Xingfeng. He secretly handed him 2 Planet Eclipse gold cores, which immediately made La Zi beam. Wu Yong saw Lei Xingfeng's little actions and smiled. He didn't stop him and secretly praised Lei Xingfeng for being smart. It wasn't a good thing to have a monarch bear a grudge. Wu Yong was very relieved that Lei Xingfeng could quietly resolve any possible problems. Lazi's face suddenly changes. Two people come in from outside. Wu Yang's face also becomes serious. Lei Xingfeng recognized these two people. When they came out from the outer realm, he had seen these two people. They were the creditors of Lazi. He didn't expect them to chase him all the way here. The two of them nodded politely at Wu Yong and then sat down on either side of Lazi. One of them put his arms around Lazi's neck and whispered a few words. Lazi's face was full of bitterness. He took out a few bags, and that person put them away with a smile. Lei Xingfeng knew that these two people were quite powerful. One was a heaven monarch, and the other was a perfected monarch. They suppressed Lazi to the point that he didn't have any temper at all. Wu Yong didn't say anything and just watched quietly. Tuo Yesher's eyes were cold, but he didn't say anything. The two of them stood up, and the heaven monarch in the lead said, "Sorry to disturb you." The two of them smiled and left. Lazi had an unlucky look on his face. Tuoya teacher asked, "Why did you provoke them?" Lazi sighed and said, "Sigh, don't mention it. At least I'm fine this time. I paid my debt." Lei Xingfeng knew that this was the usury of the cultivation world. They probably lent money to cultivators above the perfected monarch level. This organization's strength was probably terrifying. From Wu Yang's attitude, he knew that he hadn't interfered or interjected. It was obvious how powerful this organization was. Tuo Yesher shook his head and said, "Lazi, how stupid are you to provoke them? Don't you know how to find an old friend to borrow money?" Lazi was scolded until he couldn't say anything. Tuo Yesher said, "Forget it. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Since you paid your debt, it's fine. Don't borrow money from these people in the future. You can't afford it." Lazi said respectfully, "Yes, senior. I wasn't cautious enough in the past." Wu Yong said, what he got from this trip to the outer realm is enough to pay off his debt. He knew that this guy had gained a lot. Lazi said, he was lucky this time, huh? In fact, besides paying off his debt, he had also obtained a large amount of materials. This was what made him satisfied. Suddenly, there was a loud shout. "I don't have rings. I can't pay off my debt now." Lei Xingfeng turned around and saw a big man shouting in a wooden shed not far away. The two people standing next to him were the ones who had talked to Lazi. Wu Yong said indifferently, "Not everyone who borrows money is as lucky as Lazi." Lei Xingfeng knew that almost all perfected monarchs and heavenly lords who heard the news would come to this trade fair. This kind of opportunity was rare, so it was normal for loan sharks to come along. "Big Head Pan, you know the consequences of not paying your debt. Fine, come and collect if you can. At worst, we'll break up. Kill me if you can. I'm here to collect my debt, not to kill. I don't have money, but I do have a life." Lei Xingfeng asked softly, "What are their names?" Lazi said, "Heavenly Lord Ai Shi Wei, and the perfected monarch is called Master O. These two bastards are very strong. Big Head Pan, don't think that you can renege on your debt just because your secret sect is strong." Ai Shi Wei said indifferently. These two were very calm, but Big Head Pan was very agitated. Lei Xingfeng whispered, "Will they fight?" Wu Yong laughed. "That's impossible. If they fight here, they will definitely provoke the crowd and get beaten up." Everyone here was a perfected monarch. Everyone had their own secret sect and gathered their strength. No matter how powerful Ai Shui's secret sect was, it wouldn't dare to be impudent. This was probably why Big Head Pan's reaction was so strong. Big Head Pan said, "I'm not reneging on my debt. I'm just postponing it for a few days. You guys are going too far." Boom. Who would have thought that Ai Shiwei would make a move and send Big Head Pan flying with a single palm strike? A violent airflow was set off. In an instant, almost all the perfected monarchs in the surroundings made a move to resist the spreading of the shockwave. Someone yelled, "If you want to fight, get out and fight. Damn bastard, get out and fight." Instantly, a few heaven monarchs rushed over and yelled, "Get lost." Ai Shiwei also knew that he had angered the crowd. He didn't say anything and rushed out with Master O towards Big Head Pan. Big Head Pan wasn't stupid. This attack had injured him a little, but he didn't dare to turn back and fight. He scurried towards the wooden shed. Wu Yong said, "Damn it, you guys are so troublesome." He stood up and rushed out. Tuo Yaosher followed him and said, "You guys wait here." Lei Xingfeng just realized that there were quite a lot of heaven monarchs in the wooden shed. 7 or 8 heaven monarchs surrounded AI Shi Wei and quickly forced him to stop. Wu Yang and Tuo Yaosher were also among them. AI Shi Wei said, "Are you guys going to interfere?" Tuo Yaosher scolded, "Interfere, my ass. You F***king debt collection. We can't do anything about it, but don't make a move here. If you want to fight, get out and fight." AI Shi Wei said, "Aren't I just taking him out?" One of the heaven monarchs said, "Can't you F***king wait until the trade fair is over before you go and collect the debt? It's not easy to have such an opportunity. Do you have to stir things up before you give up?" AI Shi Wei knew that he couldn't continue like this. If he really angered everyone, even if he was beaten to death, he would die in vain. His own clan wouldn't dare to stand out, as the hidden forces here were too terrifying. He said, "All right, let's go." AI Shi Wei was very straightforward as well. He yelled, "Big Head Pan, even if you hide in the starry sky, we will still be able to find you. Just you wait. The next person who comes looking for you won't be as nice as me." After finishing his statement, he opened the secret door and left. The heaven monarchs dispersed. Tuo Yaosher came back while cursing. He said, "I hate this group of people the most. I feel annoyed whenever I see them." Weiyang also came back. He said, "You are not allowed to have any contact with these people in the future. Do you understand?" Gucci smiled and said, "We can't have any contact with them either." Weiyang said, "Lotzi, especially you. If you go and borrow money again, be careful that I will beat you up." Lotzi smiled bitterly and said, "I won't. I was lucky to escape this time." Lei Xingfeng said, "What will happen if you can't pay back the debt?" Tuo Yaosher said, "What else can you do? You can only sell yourself as a hired thug." Lei Xingfeng said, "That works too." Wu Yang said, "Otherwise, they wouldn't be so powerful. It's all because of the debt." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly and said, "That's amazing. Loan sharks. If you can't get it back, you'll still get it back. To have a monarch working for them, TSK, that's terrifying." But what if someone can't pay back the debt and doesn't want to be controlled? What will happen? Tuo Yaosher said they will be killed. Even if it's to make an example out of them, they will still be killed. Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "Killing a monarch will probably cause chaos." Tuo Yaosher said, "As long as it's not like today's situation, they won't be afraid. In terms of strength, they are indeed very strong. They have a lot of experts under them. Dealing with 1 or 2 secret sects is not a problem at all. Even if they have Dao monarchs, they won't be afraid." Feng Qinzong said, "It's best not to mess with an organization like this." Wu Yang said, "That's why I'm warning everyone not to have any contact with this organization in the future." La Zi sighed. "Sai, when they first borrow the Yin Ring, they won't tell you what organization they are. Once you borrow the Yin Ring, you'll realize you've been tricked." All the cultivators in the wooden shed area were talking. Pan Dadu could no longer stay to trade. He opened the secret door and left. No one knew how he was going to avoid the debt collectors. Many people watched as Pan Dadu left. La Zi said, "This Pan Datu is going to have a hard time in the future. Maybe he'll have to hide in the outer space to get rid of them." Wu Yang said, "That's suicide." La Zi said, "It's better than being killed." Wu Yang said, "What's the difference? It's still death." Lei Xingfeng said, "The outer space may be dangerous, but at least there's a chance of survival." Wu Yang said, "Survival, my ass. It's not like you haven't been there before. That place looks peaceful, but it's full of danger. If you're not careful, you'll fall into it and die without even knowing how you died. A monarch there is still weak." Xian Feng had to admit that Wu Yang was right, but he also knew that if he could endure it and live in the outer region of the universe where resources were plentiful, his growth in strength wouldn't be something that other places could replace. Of course, there were dangers everywhere, even if he didn't live in the outer region of the universe, Would there be no dangers in other places? But he wouldn't argue with his ancestor about this. Tua Yeshur said, I know a guy who's really strong. After he became a monarch, he stayed in the outer space and didn't come out. Later, he cultivated until he became a heavenly monarch and even reached the peak of heavenly monarch. He was just one step away from becoming a Tao monarch. Chapter 332. Wu Yang said, This doesn't mean that others can survive. Lei Xingfeng was interested and said, Martial uncle, is that person still in outer space? Master Toyesher laughed. Of course. This guy is strong. He once killed a star beast when he was a true monarch. Haha. He dared to enter the great forbidden land when he just became a heavenly monarch. He's not the kind of person who finds a place to live in seclusion. He's constantly exploring and has experienced countless life and death situations. If we were to compete in combat strength, he could have fought me to a draw when he just became a heavenly monarch. Wu Yang was surprised. You were at the peak of heavenly monarch then. That's right, Tua Yaosher said. His fighting style is different from ours. He comes and goes like a ghost. If you're not careful, you'll fall into his rhythm and be forced into a passive position. I tried to fight him once, and I learned a lot from it. Wu Yang said, Amazing. I wonder if I can get to know someone like that. Tua Yesher said, There's a chance. He's already left outer space and went to vast ocean dream. When you become a Tao monarch, you might be able to meet him. Haha. Wu Yang's face clearly showed his shock. He said, This person is too bold. He actually dares to directly enter the vast sea dream devil. What's so great about that? Master Toyama said. He dared to live in outer space when he was a true monarch. Now that he's a heavenly monarch, what's so strange about him going to the vast ocean dream devil? He's a freakish genius. Bold, meticulous, and courageous. Wu Yang shook his head. I can't compare to him. Tua Yesher nodded. Neither can I. But there are too few people like him. The group of people all revealed expressions of admiration. This kind of person was truly a monster. Xian Feng admitted that he was inferior, of course. If he was forced to such a state, perhaps he would be able to withstand it. But he wasn't sure. If a person was not forced into a desperate situation, it would be very difficult for him to explode. The reason why that person was admirable was because he had chosen to enter a desperate situation himself. He was also powerful enough to survive. This was not simple. Wu Yang said, There's no need to envy him. As long as we follow the prescribed order, sooner or later, we'll be very powerful. He comforted his disciples. Tua Ye teacher said, I'll go see if there's anything good. I'm still missing a few materials. Yuko, Xian Jialuan, and Chi Meian also stood up and said, Master, Grandmaster, let's go take a look. Wu Yang nodded and said, Go, don't cause trouble. They followed Tua Yesher out. Lei Xingfeng stretched and said, Why do I feel a little hungry? Lazi knew that Lei Xingfeng had a lot of good food. He smiled and said, I think I'm a little hungry too. A phone, what's good? Lei Xingfeng looked at him speechlessly and said, There's a lot. What does Martial Uncle Lazi want to eat? He had a lot of cooked food in his hidden Luin space. It was all prepared with Jean Depang's help. He took out a large plate of shortbread, a large plate of cut meat, a large plate of braised meat, and a large pot of fishman wine. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, Eat. These shortbread are absolutely delicious. Wu Yang, Guqi, and Feng Qinzong all sat down and grabbed the shortbread to eat. The black bird opened its eyes and said, This bird is hungry too. Xian Feng took out some golden eagle meat. Using a small knife to cut it open, he placed it on a plate and said, Eat. The blackbird flew to the side of the plate and ate a mouthful of golden eagle meat while complaining, Disgusting, and then ate another mouthful of golden eagle meat before complaining again. Lazi smiled and said, This bird is still so naggy. The blackbird swallowed a piece of golden eagle meat and turned its head to look at Lazi. The disdainful look in its eyes immediately amused Wu Yang. He said, Lazi, haven't you suffered enough from this bird? The blackbird's mouth was very cheap, and the words it said made people not know whether to laugh or cry. Lazi had suffered before. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, This bird has a bad temper, hee. The blackbird snorted and ate the meat. After it finished a plate, it said, "It's disgusting. Give me something else for a change." It's not easy being a bird. Feng Shenzong smiled and said, "A Feng, it's not easy to raise a bird." Lei Xingfeng said, "It's okay. This bird is usually quite obedient." As he spoke, he took out a small amount of bull meat and put on the plate. There wasn't much left, so he left it all for the blackbird. The blackbird didn't say anything and began to eat the bull meat. Xi and Feng calculated for a bit. He still had a few materials that he hadn't gathered yet. Most of them were already gathered, which meant that as long as he found the missing materials, he would be able to advance. Of course, this would have to wait until he reached the peak of the 9th ring. His current cultivation wasn't enough yet. Lei Xingfeng yearned for the monarch realm. That was the true power to be unrestrained. Now, he could only return to his own world and become a king. It was meaningless to him. After the blackbird finished eating, it stared at Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng asked, "Do you still want to eat?" The blackbird's little head shook. Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Okay." He raised his hand and shot out a bolt of lightning. The blackbird began to tremble again. After 3 bolts of lightning, the blackbird was shaking like a sieve. It didn't want to stand on the ground. It walked step by step to Lei Xingfeng's side. It reached out its little claws and climbed up Lei Xingfeng's clothes until it reached his shoulder. Then, it leaned against Lei Xingfeng's neck and hid its head in its wings. It began to digest and absorb the energy. La Zi said, "It's really obedient." Haha, poor little guy. Lei Xingfeng laughed. "If it wasn't so obedient, I wouldn't have brought it along." The blackbird thought, "It's not that the bird is obedient, it's that the bird doesn't have time to be naughty." They chatted and laughed as they ate. During this time, a few monarchs came and exchanged some materials. Lei Xingfeng also obtained a material that he didn't have. It was a thunder attribute material, the famous thunder crystal. Thunder crystals were like grains of rice. Of course, the color was different from rice. They were dark blue and crystal clear. Lei Xingfeng used 3-star eclipse gold cores to exchange for a handful of thunder crystals. He counted them and found that there were only about 600 in total. There were less than 700 thunder crystals. If he wanted to exchange for more, that person didn't have any left. Lei Xingfeng wanted to ask where that person got them from, but that person's expression changed and he turned around and left. Lei Xingfeng sighed inwardly. He knew that he had asked too much. That person was obviously unhappy. La Zi followed that person out. After a while, La Zi came back and sat down. He smiled and said, "For you." He took out a jade tablet and handed it to Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "What is this?" La Zi said, "Ding Qianyu, the coordinates of the outer world." The coordinates of the outer world could usually be recorded in the star Python record. However, the truly powerful ones were recorded in a type of jade called Ding Qianyu. Ding Qianyu was a person's name. The Ding Qianyu's location function was invented by him. Lei Xingfeng knew about Ding Qianyu and said, "Location of the outer world? Is it a place where thunder crystals are produced?" La Zi rolled his eyes and said, "Nonsense. Why else would I chase after them?" Lei Xingfeng was really grateful this time. He could barely use the thunder crystals he had just exchanged. However, he still had a Yi who was of the thunder attribute. He also needed thunder crystals. That was why he wanted to find the outer world. He planned to find it himself. La Zi said, "Ding Qianyu is also a material, but it's not very precious. A refined Ding Qianyu is worth about 20 yin rings. If you implant the coordinates, it's a bit more expensive. Of course, it shouldn't be much to you." Lei Xingfeng said, "A bit more expensive? How much is a bit more expensive?" La Zi said, "It depends on the place. Some outer worlds with a lot of resources or rare resources are more expensive. It's usually not more than 1,000 yin rings. The cheaper ones, for example, the place we're in right now is an abandoned outer world. Usually, it's just a few yin rings. People wouldn't even want it if it was given away for free." Gucci said from the side, "A Feng, you have a lot of yin rings. You can collect some Ding Qianyu when appropriate. It's also a very precious resource." Lei Xingfeng nodded. I haven't paid attention to it. I'll pay attention to it in the future. It was no wonder that Lei Xingfeng didn't pay attention to it. Every time he went out, he was taken by others. He didn't even have a chance to take the initiative. Plus, his speed of advancement was too fast. He didn't have a chance to settle down, nor did he have a plan of his own. He advanced to 9th ring like a rocket. Although he obtained countless treasures, he also lost the experience of tribulations and setbacks. Fortunately, this wasn't his first life. The life experiences and experiences of his previous life were naturally brought over to this life, allowing him to barely keep up with his cultivation. After reaching 9th ring, Lei Xingfeng couldn't quickly reach the peak of 9th ring because he didn't find a suitable thunderstorm. Plus, he had to continuously search for materials and treasures. Finally, he had the chance to settle down and gradually come into contact with many things that he had overlooked before. According to Lei Xingfeng's understanding from his previous life, he had all the hardware. What he lacked was the soft power. He needed to fill in the gaps and explore them bit by bit. Wu Yang said, "When we go back, I'll give you some Ding Qianyu. Some outer worlds are pretty good. You can go search for them. With your luck, you should be able to get a good harvest." Gucci also said, "When you go back, come to my place. I have some Ding Qianyu for you too." La Zi said enviously, "Hi, this is the benefit of having elders. Yifeng, I have some too. Next time, I'll ask someone to bring it to you." Lei Xingfeng was extremely happy. He repeatedly thanked him. This was the benefit of being a straightforward person. Feng Qinzong sighed in his heart. He was still a monarch, but his master and senior brother treated Lei Xingfeng so well that it made him a little jealous. Fortunately, he didn't need to go to the outer worlds anymore. In the future, he would basically go to outer space for his activities. Thinking about the suffering he had when he was a 9th ring sage, he couldn't help but sigh. However, he didn't take his anger out on Lei Xingfeng. He had also benefited a lot from Lei Xingfeng. He just sighed. The benefit of having Ding Qianyu was that he could organize people to go to the outer worlds. Of course, he had to find a monarch to help him enter through a secret door. He didn't have to worry about this. Whether it was his master Gucci or his ancestor Wu Yang, he could ask them for help. If the two of them were busy, he could also ask Feng Qinzong or even La Zi to open the secret door. Chapter 333. In the evening, Tua Yesher brought Yu Ko and the other two back. After a round of trading, the results were not bad. At least Xian Jialuan and Qi Meiyun were satisfied. The two had many good things in their hands, such as the fishman wine. As for Yu Ko, it was a bit more painful. He did not have many things in his hands. Tua Yesher returned to the wooden hut and sat down. He said, "I'll take this opportunity to meet a few old friends. I haven't seen them for many years." Lei Xingfeng said, "It's getting dark. Ancestor, how many days will we stay here?" Wu Yang said, "There's still many people not here. Since there's nothing to do, let's see what we get. If we're satisfied, we can go back. If not, we can wait." As the sky gradually darkened, flames started to burn in the wooden hut. Xian Feng also placed a few large copper basins in the wooden hut and set them on fire. Xian Feng purposely set up a kettle and used the fire from the copper basins to boil the water. The clamor gradually died down. Lei Xingfeng leaned against the fire and took out the Star Python record to read. The Star Python record recorded the assembly and disassembly methods of the humanoid beast, as well as how to set it up and how to command it. It was very detailed. This was a technical information. The setup was very simple. There were 4 modes. One was attack mode, one was defense mode, one was standby mode, and one was patrol mode. These 4 modes could be chosen. The energy of the humanoid beast was filled with the sky divination crystal. Of course, if it was not set up beforehand, once it was filled with energy, things could go wrong. For example, if the humanoid beast that Lei Xingfeng obtained was filled with energy, the humanoid beast would definitely attack him. Lei Xingfeng easily understood the structure of the humanoid beast. It was also easy for him to understand how to control the humanoid beast. The creation part was more complicated. so Lei Xingfeng did not have time to study it carefully. However, he quickly got the hang of everything else. It's not difficult. Why did Senior Tua say that even he couldn't figure it out? Lei Xingfeng muttered to himself. According to his understanding, a humanoid beast was nothing more than a torso, head, and limbs. There was also the location where the energy was stored, the control center, and the pipes or circuits that transported the energy. According to this understanding, it was easy to find the corresponding descriptions in the Star Python record. Perhaps some of the descriptions were not clear, but it did not hinder him from understanding and learning. In just one night, Lei Xingfeng had already figured out the internal structure of the doll beast, how to control it, and how to fill it with energy. Fortunately, he had the sky divination crystal, or else he would not have been able to restart the doll beast. He took out a silver puppet from his hidden Luin space and started to test it according to the Star Python record. The core was located at the abdomen of the mannequin beast. The skin of the mannequin beast was the skin of a star beast. It had been refined with a special method and was extremely tough. If one didn't use the correct method, it would be difficult to tear it apart even with a knife. With the records of the Star Python record, Lei Xingfeng easily disassembled it. The core was a gray crystal that was stuck in a metal shell. Lei Xingfeng followed the records of the Star Python record and disassembled it step by step. Finally, he took out the gray crystal that was only the size of a thumb. If he didn't disassemble it correctly, then this core crystal would immediately turn into ashes. It was no wonder that the broken doll beast couldn't be put back together. It was because of this core crystal. Lei Xingfeng pricked his finger and dripped a drop of blood onto the crystal. Instantly, the gray crystal shone with a crimson-red light. After about 10 minutes, Lei Xingfeng placed the crystal on his palm and closed his eyes. He felt the originally cold crystal begin to warm up. What was very magical was that the crystal structure appeared in Lei Xingfeng's mind. It was as if the entire crystal was magnified and presented in his mind. After comparing it with the Star Python record, Lei Xingfeng already had an idea. He began to modify the crystal. He didn't use his hands to modify it, but used his mind to modify it. It was simply magical to the extreme. After a short while, the modification of the crystal was completed. Lei Xingfeng gave the crystal a defensive function. It was used to protect himself. Generally speaking, a silver doll could only be given one function. It could either defend or attack. The so-called defense was to protect something. If it wasn't attacked, it wouldn't counterattack. After finishing the modification, Lei Xingfeng opened his eyes and looked at the crystal in his hand. It was already light green. Placing the crystal back into the metal shell, he closed the lid and pasted the star beast skin back on. Only then did Xian Feng put away the silver rank mannequin beast. He didn't dare to charge it here, and most importantly, he couldn't take out the sky evolution crystal here. It was too dangerous. Xian Feng set the silver and gold rank humanoid beasts in his hands as his own, but he kept the 3 gold rank humanoid beasts he got from Tua Yesher. These 3 gold rank humanoid beasts were not modified. He planned to give them to his grandpa and little sister. A single gold rank humanoid beast was enough to deal with a monarch, especially after it was filled with energy. 9 silver grade puppets, 3 gold grade puppets, and a bunch of spare parts from the puppets. Even if the puppets were to break down in the future, the spare parts could still be used. There were also 3 gold grade puppets from Tuayama. Wu Yang, Gucci, and Feng Qinzong all watched Lei Xingfeng, Tua Yesher, La Zi, Xian Jialuan, Yuko, and Qi Meiyan cultivate. Seeing Lei Xingfeng continuously working on the gold dolls, Wu Yang whispered, "How is it? Have you figured out?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "It's not a problem to use it, but it's a big problem to make it. Although this thing is rigid, it's quite powerful, especially when it's fully charged." Wu Yang said, "Come, teach me how to control the gold dolls." Controlling the core, choosing the mode, and learning the commands. Actually, controlling the gold dolls was very simple. However, without the Star Python record, it was impossible to decipher. Soon, Wu Yang, Gucci, and Feng Qinzong all learned. Especially Feng Qinzong. He originally planned to sell the gold dolls he had, But once he learned how to control them, not only did he not want to sell them, but he also wanted to buy other people's gold dolls if he had the chance. This thing would be of great help to him. Once these gold dolls could be activated, Gucci's secret door strength would increase by a large margin. This was true martial power, comparable to a true monarch's gold dolls. They could even fight against a heavenly monarch. Of course, in a real fight, the gold dolls would still be a bit weaker. After all, they were manufactured and couldn't be compared to humans. Sometimes mannequin beasts could be a great use, but sometimes it wasn't. However, to Xian Feng, with so many mannequin beasts in his hands, his growth in strength was terrifying. A single silver-level mannequin beast could defeat a ninth-ring sage. Back then, Senior Lotzi had been beaten by a few silver-level mannequin beasts. His strength wasn't just for show. The few of them muttered and took out the gold dolls from time to time to play around. Soon, they woke up the others. Tua Yesher opened his eyes to look at the busy people. He was shocked. You guys have quite a few mannequins. With his strength, having mannequins or not wasn't of much help to him. That was why he sold the Star Python record and the gold-level mannequins to Xian Feng. He didn't expect that these people would have their own stock and complete mannequins. Lei Xingfeng smiled. I got them by chance when I went to the forbidden area last time. Tua Yesher's eyes widened. He pointed at Lei Xingfeng. Ah, you've been to the forbidden area? Lei Xingfeng nodded. Yes, I've been to both the small and large forbidden areas. However, I didn't dare to enter the large forbidden area. I just walked around the periphery and left. Tua Yesher said, My mother, you dare to enter the forbidden area as a ninth-ring sage? Impressive, impressive. Lei Xingfeng smiled. I went with the founder. With the founder's protection, why wouldn't I dare to go? Tua Yesher immediately knew that Lei Xingfeng was Wu Yang's favorite grand disciple. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought him to the outer realm. It was too dangerous. He said, Brother Wu Yang, you're so bold. Wu Yang smiled faintly. He didn't explain as he couldn't. Xian Feng was able to find such good things. The last time he went to the outer realm, his harvest was even greater than the 3 times he had gone. The amount of precious materials he had obtained was inconceivable even to him. If he were to go to the outer realm again, he would bring Xian Feng along without hesitation, even if he had to pay for it. Of course, Tua Yesher didn't know the secret. He said, the gold dolls aren't the best. They're more powerful things. Wu Yang said, What are they? Why don't I know about them? Tua Yesher said, Have you seen a refined star beast? Wu Yang said, What? How is that possible? Master Tua Yesher chuckled. They're some at the very core of the Forbidden Grounds. Most likely, only Dao Lords would be able to withstand them. In any case, I only gave them a single glance before turning tail and fleeing. I didn't dare to go near them at all. Fleeing was the right choice. Heh. Wu Yang said, More than one. Tua Yadi laughed. Haha, you're the smart one, brother. That's right, it's a group of them. My legs are about to give way. Motherfucker, even a Dao Lord would have to run if he came. I can't figure out what kind of treasure is there that's worth so many astral beasts protecting it. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, Aren't there sky crystal dolls? Tua Yaosher said, The Forbidden Lands usually have silver and gold tier humanoid beasts in the outer perimeter. There are also all sorts of strange traps. Once you enter the Forbidden Lands, you will find gold and sky crystal humanoid beasts in the outer perimeter. Most of them are gold tier humanoid beasts with a few sky crystal humanoid beasts. If we were to draw circles for the Forbidden Land, there would be a total of 4 circles. The outermost circle would be the periphery of the Forbidden Land. The third circle would be the edge of the Forbidden Land, and the second circle would be the main area of the Forbidden Land. Here, you can encounter mannequins. Most of them are heaven crystal mannequins, and only a few are gold mannequins. The central circle would be the core of the Forbidden Land, and that is the most dangerous place. There are very few celestial crystal mannequins here, and the astral beast puppets are the main force. The traps and defenses here are even more ridiculous. I only managed to break through to the edge of the core area. Haha, when I saw a group of astral beast puppets, I was so scared that I turned tail and ran. I didn't dare to probe any further. Going there is really suicide. As long as I touch the astral beast puppets, I won't have any chance of escaping. If I were a Tao Lord, I might have a chance. Chapter 334. Lei Xingfeng asked, Star Beast puppet, what a pity. He was imagining how rich he would be if he could get his hands on a Star Beast puppet. Tua Yesher said, what's a pity? Kid, don't even think about it, unless you're extremely lucky. Before he could finish, he saw everyone laughing. He asked curiously, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Gucci laughed. A Feng's luck is extremely good, he. Tua Yesher shook his head. Even if you get your hands on a Star Beast puppet, you won't be able to activate it unless you have the Sky Evolution Crystal. That thing, I've only found a few. It's too rare. Wu Yang and the rest had a strange expression. Tua Yesher did not expect them to have the Sky Evolution Crystal. He continued, however, even if you can't activate the Star Beast puppet, the Star Beast puppet itself is definitely something good. You have to know that Star Beasts are made from mature Star Beasts. Even I find it strange, what kind of cultivators were there in the Forbidden Lands? Just by looking at the things they left behind, you can infer how strong they were. The Star Beast itself was a treasure trove. The people of that era actually refined Star Beasts into Star Beast puppets. It was clear how much resources and terrifying strength they possessed. With Xian Feng's eyes, they were definitely existences he could only look up to. If the people of that era still existed, Xian Feng and the others would not even have the qualifications to appear before them. Wu Yang laughed. Fortunately, they are not around anymore. I don't know if they are all dead or moved away. But this is not something we can worry about. Lei Xingfeng was still fantasizing. Damn, if I have a Star Beast puppet made from a Thunder Star Beast, even if I advance to the Heaven Monarch realm, the materials I have would be enough for me to use. What a pity, what a pity. I can't deal with Star Beasts. Sigh, what a pity. If I have a Star Beast puppet that uses up all its energy. Countless stars flashed in front of his eyes and then dimmed down. Tua Yesher saw Lei Xingfeng scratching his head, his face filled with mixed emotions. He asked curiously, what is a Feng thinking about? Lei Xingfeng said awkwardly, no, nothing. How could he have the nerve to say that he was fantasizing about obtaining an Astral Beast puppet, and that it was a lightning-type Astral Beast? It was better not to tell anyone about his daydreaming. Tua Yesher knew that Lei Xingfeng did not want to talk about it, so he continued Wu Yang's topic. Yes, if they're still there, we will die if we go there. Xian Feng had already finished setting up all his dolls. Other than the 3 gold-level dolls he got from Tua Yesher, he planned to leave them for his grandpa and little sister. Feng Chenzong had also gotten a gold-rank puppet before. Using this opportunity, he set it up. Originally, he planned to sell the puppet, but now he completely dispelled that idea. What a joke. He couldn't even beat a gold-rank puppet in a fair fight. How could he sell such a good guard? Wu Yang and Gucci also had human puppets. They also used this opportunity to modify the control core. All they needed to do was to go back and fill it with energy. Tua Yesher was very surprised. You guys, did you rob the Forbidden Area's warehouse? How did you get so many puppets? Wu Yang smiled. We were lucky. These puppets just happened to lose their energy, so we got lucky. Tua Yesher said, I've been in the Forbidden Area for 50 years, and this is all I got. You guys got a lot. Lei Xingfeng said, we weren't as lucky as you. Tua Yesher asked, what do you mean? Lei Xingfeng giggled. You got a celestial crystal puppet. If you can activate it, you'll get a lot. Tua Yesher laughed. You little brat, you want this puppet, don't you? Lei Xingfeng nodded furiously. Even if it couldn't be activated, it was still good to have it there. They could always find a way to activate it in the future. If it couldn't be activated, then it would be useless even if they had a way to activate it. Tua Yesher said, stop dreaming. Unless you can give me an offer I can't refuse, I won't trade. That's something powerful enough to fight against the Tao Lord. Xian Feng muttered, it hasn't been activated yet. A mannequin that isn't activated is nothing. Tua Yesher laughed. You're right. But with a celestial crystal puppet, even if it can't move, you can slowly find a way to activate it. But without it, even if you know how to activate it, it's useless. Lei Xingfeng mumbled, "An offer I can't refuse, an offer I can't refuse." Everyone couldn't help but laugh. They could see that Lei Xingfeng had fallen into a trap. Wu Yang said helplessly, "A phone, you don't need a celestial crystal puppet. Do you want to challenge a Tao Lord? That's not necessary at all. A gold puppet is enough." Lei Xingfeng said, "Insurance, insurance. With a heavenly crystal humanoid beast, that would be the real insurance." Wu Yang said, "You're already very safe. With us here, even if you go to outer space, won't you come back safely?" Lei Xingfeng said, "If I'm alone, I won't be able to come back." "Senior Tall, what do you lack?" Tua Yesher laughed and said, "I lack a lot of things." Xen Feng interrupted him. "It's something that's as valuable as a sky crystal-level mannequin beast." Tua Yesher laughed and said, "Oh, little guy, you still don't want to give up. Looks like you have a lot of good things." "Okay, I'll name a few." Lei Xingfeng said, "Senior, just name them. I'll see if I can get them." Everyone laughed except for Wu Yang. He always felt that Lei Xingfeng had a lot of good things. Perhaps Tua Yesher really did want something. Tua Yesher smiled and said, "Godfall brocade. Do you have it?" Lei Xingfeng was stunned. He had never heard of this before. He shook his head and said, "What is this? I don't know. I don't have it." Wu Yang was annoyed and said, "Brother Toa, are you kidding? This is a material used by Tao Lords, and you're asking a ninth ring sage if he has it? You're joking. You don't even need it." "Bullshit." Tua Yesher said, Okay, I'm just joking." "Hee, do you have heavenly dragonwood?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head. Tua Yesher said, "Myriad colors, do you have it? Hope Saint liquid, do you have it? Parasol redbud, do you have it? Jade rock water, do you have it?" Lei Xingfeng was speechless. He said, that. I don't have it." Tua Yesher felt that this was not enough and continued, "Alina's soft gold, do you have it?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head helplessly. This was the first time he had heard of this. The materials needed by Tao Lords were too far away for him to know. Tua Yesher sighed and said, "It's not that I don't want to give you a chance, but you don't have it." "Okay, I'll ask two more things. Do you have red thread worms and smoke liquid?" Lei Xingfeng said no. Tua Yesher spread his hands and said, "Then I have no choice." Lei Xingfeng suddenly reacted and shouted, "I have it!" Someone outside the wooden shed scolded, "Shut up." Lei Xingfeng whispered, This the smoke liquid and red thread worms. I have it." Tua Yesher smiled and said, "You do, What? You have smoke liquid and red thread worms?" He had been looking for them for a long time to concoct medicine. He immediately became spirited and said, "You have such good things?" Wu Yang knew that Lei Xingfeng had them. His smoke liquid and red thread worms were obtained from Lei Xingfeng. He smiled and said, "Brother Tua, this is troublesome. Your sky crystal doll can't be kept." Tua Yesher said, "It doesn't matter. As long as I become a Tao Lord, the sky crystal doll will be meaningless." Like Wu Yang, he was at the peak of Tao Lord and was one step away from becoming a Tao Lord. He was also working hard to gather the materials. Unfortunately, he had been trapped in the Forbidden Grounds for more than 50 years and lacked many materials. Although there were many good things in the Forbidden Grounds, there were not many that were suitable for him. Smoke liquid and red thread worms were important materials for concocting medicine, and medicine was an important method to help one's advancement. He asked, "How are the quality?" Lei Xingfeng was overjoyed. Finally, there was something that he needed. This gave him hope. He said, "Supreme-grade smoke liquid and red thread worms." He had obtained several treasures from the spotted cane plains. One was the commonly used pitch ebony, the other was black gold stone, and the other was smoke liquid and red thread worms. The smoke liquid was not rare, but the red thread worms were very rare. Without a certain amount of luck, one might not be able to find them. Unless one searched the caves one by one, it would be extremely difficult to find a few red thread worms in the hundreds of thousands or even millions of small caves. If not for Lei Xingfeng's exceptional eyesight, he might not have been able to find them. The most interesting thing was that Lei Xingfeng did not know what the red thread worms were used for. What was even more unexpected was that they were treasures that even a heaven lord needed. Therefore, he did not collect them on a large scale and stopped after finding some. He was determined to go to the spotted cane plains again if he had the chance. Tua Yesher was in a difficult position. Although the smoke liquid and red thread worms were precious, they were still far from being comparable to the sky crystal puppet. However, he had already said that he would lose face if he did not exchange them. Wu Yang could not help but laugh. He said, "Brother Ta, exchange them. You are a heaven lord after all. You can't bully a child." Tua Yesher said, "All right. 2 pairs of red thread worms and supreme-grade smoke liquid." Lei Xingfeng relaxed. He said, "All right. 2 pairs of red thread worms and supreme-grade smoke liquid." He had already taken them out. In fact, he only had a little left. When he got the red thread worms and smoke liquid, he gave them away. He had originally kept them for himself. Tua Yesher complained in his heart. What he said just now was actually a trap. He bet that Lei Xingfeng did not have 2 red thread worms. He did not expect Lei Xingfeng to take them out without hesitation. Now, he could not find an excuse to not give Lei Xingfeng the sky crystal puppet. He sighed and said, "I am asking for trouble." Everyone laughed. Who asked Tua Yesher to show off? In the end, Lei Xingfeng took out something that he wanted. It was not surprising. After all, he did not know that Lei Xingfeng was famous for his good luck. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.